Is it working, I wonder? It is working. Beautiful. Right, we are live. Right, we are doing press shit, I think. We're doing press shit? We're doing press shit. With Google Docs. It's me. Alright, let's black that out so you guys can't see what that is. Let's change my name to so this is a press release that's been written by my mate, who apparently knows what he's doing, so I'm going to trust him. And I need to work out which journalist to send it to and send a bunch of fucking emails. I'm gonna put some details in there. And I'm gonna pick some fucking random journalists from this big fucking list. Is my plan. This is North London. I think I'm picking journalists. I've never done this before and actually got a reply, so I'm actually not sure like what exactly I'm supposed to be picking to get the correct results. I used to send pre-written press releases to like news desks and hope that this would lead to the outcome I wanted. It didn't. No one ever got back to me. So now I'm going to do invitations to journalists instead. I don't know if it's going to work, but we can try, right? I feel like I should put some clothes on. So just sitting in my fucking dressing gown like a cretin. But it is what it is. So I think what we'll do is we'll do a new tab in the Googs. And we'll do this, and that'll look weird for people, but it is what it is. And we'll start picking names. So if we pick, did I have who did I have? Reporter. Alex Marsh. So this one looks good because it's a local newspaper. So they might actually have reporters come out. Maybe, I don't know. As opposed to television, where they most likely won't. And my boobs out. Oh, my boobs out now. Okay, good. We can send an email specifically to Alex by name, and hopefully that'll, like, I don't know, work. And then we'll try London Post as well. We'll try John Beck. Put a note saying John Beck. Come on, Jess, remember where your fucking tabs are. That's John Beck. And television network, television show. Local newspaper. Senior content. Editor. I don't know if I want to send to editors. Writer seems good. Let's try writers, eh? Weekend news. Let's try Sammy. So it is just the case of, like, picking a bunch of people and sending them emails, I think. Reporter for a local newspaper, Mr. Rory Bennett, we'll do that. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and send these people, like, genuine, like, personal emails. See if we can get it to work. Local democracy reporter, interesting. I wonder what this is about. Should we try these people? Grant Williams. try these people. What is Waltham Forest? Oh, okay. Let's try this guy, because that's a different one that we've tried previously. I think what we'll do is we'll do it like this. So if I go here, instead of making the list first, I think I'll write, hello, name. I'm writing you, because I think the publication interested in covering a sport story London this weekend. Is what have I actually been written? What's Ruben written to me? Boop. I have to write to Ruben and ask him a question. Oh, bro. Let's put in that. Let's do this. Is it the 28th? Is it the 28th? I'm telling Ruben I'm gonna be cheeky and I'm gonna try half with my press release. I shouldn't say sorry. Alright, what's going on? Does my stream have audio? I never even checked. Is anyone even in there? What's going on? Any of you poor fuckers watching me? Whoa. 2 people are watching me. Jesus. We got audio? We do have audio. Beautiful. Hey, Carrie. How you doing, my darling? I can see you. I should put you over there. Right, come on, Jess, do your fucking job, you sack of shit. Right, so I've been told I can add something about toxicology tests being debated in Parliament on is it the 28th? 28th of April. Toxicology. Dogs, animals, Parliament. Ban immediately, UK Parliament. Is it being debated? Come on, bro. Is it being debated? Loud. The love that I was giving you was never in doubt. Let go of your heart, let go of your head, and feel it now. Let go of your heart. Yeah, it's Monday the 28th of April. And feel it now, Babylon. Wonderful. Debate in the 28th of April. We should continue to test, to perform toxicology. How do you spell toxicology? That's not how you spell it. Tests on animals. I'm writing to you because I think the publication might be interested in covering a story happening in London this Saturday. The event is important because it is attempting to raise awareness for a debate in Parliament on the 28th of April in regards to whether or not we should continue to perform toxicology tests on animals. Hope to see you there. A part of the see there. Do I write it? Is this two memes? Is this email two memes? I hope to see you there, or I will be unable to say hello personally as I will be part of the performance. Please give this issue the attention that it deserves. Our press contact on the day will be and then I won't put a fucking number in, just in case some cretins are watching. Just in case some cretins are watching. I know Carrie's gonna ring Sky and be like, "Yo, you Jester's friend? Can we be friends?" I'm really sweaty. I think I should put some fucking clothes on. Right, so I've got my email. Now I just need to massively replicate it for all me doobs. So if I do, how do I do this? So if I add lines, insert horizontal line, insert horizontal line, and I do email. I do. Hello, John. I probably don't need his last fucking name. And his is the London Post. Right, let's not do that, because I need to copy and paste this shit. So then we do. Bro, I wish I was doing this in like a fucking database so I could just automatically print emails. I wish I had some tech support. I wish Brooke was doing this for me in a fucking Access database. Sorry, Brooke. Sorry for calling you out. It's the B. Right, publication is London Post. And then the next person is Holly Rubin. Weirdly similar name to. Should I do hello? Is hello the tech? Fuck it. Hello's a word, right? And they are, what's their local press? Holly. Holly, 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 Holly. It's the Evening Standard. Evening Standard. Right, and then who's next? Sammy Quadri? Also the Evening Standard. But they're the weekend. Ah, okay. Evening Standard. I love the whole just click through all the tabs till you find the right thing tech. That's the best thing you can do when doing shit like this, dude. Rory Bennett. So that must be a Rory. Let's spell his fucking name right, because that would be cunty. That would be naughty if we didn't. Is that Evening Standard again? Who's Rory? Rory is My London. I think My London. Is My London a single word? My London. Interesting. They're a single word. Right, who else have we got? We've got Sebastian. Socialist Spider. Hello, Sebastian. This is the most productive I've been in a while. Which is kind of sad, actually. Sebastian is from Waltham Forest Echo, apparently. Right, so that is what we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 from there. Which now means we get to go to fucking West London and have another go. Should we do South London? Let's do West London. Let's go round anti-clockwise. Right, so we want to go here and we want to look at reporters. Oh shit. So what we do is we open OBS like a champ and we go to job title. What is going on? Why can't I filter it? I can't. Cool. So we want reporters basically, and we want reporters that aren't the ones we've already got. So we've already got Alex. Alex has already been done. We've got. Have we got? So I don't know to what extent we want to do like TV. I don't think we want to do TV. We've not done Jordan King. So let's whack Jordan King in there too. I should probably do it as I go, actually. Should I do it as I go? I feel like this is how you never, ever, ever, like, you get blacklisted. It does feel like this is how you get blacklisted from every single person ever, but... Wait, I'm on the wrong one, right? I'm on the wrong one. Local news. Harrow Times. We've not had Harrow Times. Let's try Harrow Times. Oh, ah. Harrow Times. Let's get you in there. Joseph. Harrow Times. What am I doing? Jess, what the fuck are you doing? Please forgive me if I ask a little strange. This is why I don't do karaoke, because I literally can't. Feels like lightning running through my veins. Every time I look at you. Every time I look at you. Have we got like weekend? Is there a weekend-esque? Weekend news? Yeah, we've already got Sammy. And out here, all my words are falling short. There's no much I wanna say. I'll tell you just how good it feels when you look at me that way. Ah, when you look at me that way. Should we try radio too? Should we be cheeky? Should we try radio? Let's try this. Let's try it. Fuck it. Let's try it. It's the B. Should we try radio? Yeah, is it the same? Is it the same email for radio? That's the real question. Do you just send the exact same shit for radio? Or do you do something else for radio? Whoa, man to scream out. Right, I'm in animal ethics too, dude. I'm gonna do everything at once. Can I do outreach and do this at the same time, like a fucking lunatic? I probably can. I think the question is, would my... Is that gonna get picked up if I do? Who knows, dude? Who fucking knows? Right, what am I doing? Ho ho ah. Whoa ho ah. She tried columnists as well. Oh ah. I hate looking through these lists. I hate it so much. I hate looking through these lists so much. It's just awful. Reporter, video journalist, and producer. Interesting. Let's try this guy. Paul Murphy. Let's try Paul Murphy. Hello, Paul. Oh boy. Boop. Am I allowed to stream in this room? Wonderful. I'm writing press releases. It's fucking miserable.
No. So I'm running events in London. Well, I'm running an event in London on Saturday, and I'm trying to get some reporters to show up and cover it. Which involves looking for a long list of reporters' contacts and deciding which ones I should send emails to, and then writing like personal emails to all of them. And it's just sort of laborious and doesn't bear fruit usually. Well, so it's more like writing the emails, right? So what I could do is I could make a database and I could set like an email format and I could just like find a bunch of journalists and dump like their details in there. And then every time I do an event, I could just submit a report and it would send all those emails to all those people. But the setup time for that is not really something I can be asked doing. But that would make my life a lot easier. I'm sure. I mean, maybe there would be a way to like do it with AI. I don't know how good AI is. Is it like finding contacts?
Yeah. I wonder if can you get audio just from Discord? Because I don't have your audio currently on there, which is maybe safer to be honest. But I wonder if you can get audio just from Discord without getting it from like the rest of your PC. Yeah, I am. Aha! I think this should work now. Love, can I ask you to talk? To test my system.
Yo.
Oh, it does work.
Yo.
Wonderful. Cool. I thought I might as well stream to the 2 people who usually watch my stream.
Well, I was talking to Elysium, and he told me about one cool AI in which he says like a lot of content users use nowadays. It's called Opus, and you
Okay.
can like search if you have like a very long video. You can search in the video for certain like if you wanted to talk about abortion, you could search if it's like a 12-hour stream.
Mm-hmm.
You can search for instances of you talking about abortion.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, it's pretty good at finding it. So you could make videos. You can make entire highlights of just talking about abortion on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
pretty easily. Very long videos. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who like make regular YouTube content probably have like AI like scrape their content for them.
Hard to make money on that stuff, I think, because there's this guy who showed his income after he made like a total of 1.5 billion views, and he
Yeah.
only got $150,000 for that.
Yeah.
I mean that's good money, but it took a 1.5 billion views to get that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure like it's all from sponsorship.
Yeah,
No,
maybe.
I mean you can make decent money because like per 1,000 views, depending on the type of content, it ranges from $2 to $25, or they call it MPR, so, like milli.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. But I haven't seen that on the Google's official website, so I'm not. It's only private companies I've seen like say that. So
Mhm.
I don't know if Google will disclose about if they pay people different amounts.
Oh shit, there's a central London one. Whoops. You don't know any press contacts, do you guys?
Nope.
No. It's really annoying because I was doing an event a little while ago, and a guy came up to me mid-event and literally said, "I'm a vegan like journalist who has like mainstream media contacts. Here's my card. Like, I'd love to work with you." And then I lost his card, which is probably like one of the biggest mistakes I've made this year. So what are you thinking for the debate format? Are you just going to come in here and hope people join, or are you going to reach out to people, invite them, or what's your plan?
Oh no, I'm definitely I'm gonna probably just stick with things that I'm interested in. I'll probably do like more either like vegan debates or things I think people are gonna be interested in. So we'll just see if it goes. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna do like first plans or like I want to get somebody about laughter meat. I want to get somebody about theory itself, and just a few other like things I'm kind of interested in.
I think you might have knocked your microphone because you're inaudible, my friend.
Is it so audible?
Now you're better.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna see how it does. Like, if it takes off, I'll do more outreach type videos. If it doesn't, I'm just gonna stick with things I'm interested at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I think it's quite good actually, because basically what I'm doing is I'm compiling like a long list of like pre-written emails with like press contacts names and publication. So I can probably just copy and paste this and resend it next time I do like an event, as long as I do it in London. So maybe I am building the database that I thought I needed to build, just without actually building a database. Have you thought about like platform and format, like as in like vertical or like horizontal, like landscape, and whether you're going to do it live or you're going to do it pre-recorded and then upload it?
Yeah, so I think that I'm gonna set my account in here and record live stream this to YouTube, and
Okay.
then I'll take that. I'll probably use Opus to try to make clips out of that, and I'll probably make those vertical for shorts, or if I wanted to, if it's something like really interesting, I'll make it into like horizontal for videos. I'm not sure when it comes to like a scheduled like debate with like something that's popular. I'll have it just like a landscape. Do you know? Does it say anywhere where they're like the different? If they say about like what you actually get paid per CPM,
It's
like
it's
before you.
really low, dude. It's super low.
But I don't even see it on Google anywhere. I don't see it on their official website.
I think I wouldn't go into the YouTube game if you want to make money.
Well, no, I don't want to make like a lot of money, but if I wanted, I guess like it would be cool to have like some money. That'd be nice, so I don't have to work another job.
I mean, you're not gonna get like money per hour invested that you would from anything else ever. Like it's just gonna be the least efficient way to make money ever.
Mm.
Like people like do content creation because it's like a job that they can do from their home on their own terms, and because they don't feel like they can do other jobs. They don't do it because it's a good job, right? If you look at most of these streamers,
well, you could
they like
you could
change
try to
their
get like a
desks.
following, and then like you could do like streams, because I've seen like people like make like like 1,000 or something bucks because people just keep donating like constantly, like every other minute, you know, by several people. Like if you could get like a few, like a lot of like subscribers or whatever, like just like live stream like here and there, and then you'll get like a lot of donations that way.
Yeah, but that's like the 1%, right? Like you're talking about the 1%. Like you can't bank on that being you, and that's most likely not going to be you, right? Like I think streaming is like sex work, right? Like it's really really rewarding for some people, and then other people it's just like a way to supplement your income from your own home on your own terms. And like the better you want to do, the more you have to sort of like be willing to like differentiate yourself from other people, and obviously luck too. But I think it's a very good way to like reach a slightly larger audience. If you're already doing this shit anyway, like there's no reason you shouldn't like put it out there. My videos, like I have a really tiny following, and yet most of my videos will still get like, I don't know, 30, 40 views. Like my shorts will get like 100, 300 views, like just over time, just passively, like as time accumulates. The money runs out. Think there was something I lived to see. What am I gonna find their eyes to see? A brighter day. What we're gonna do when the money runs out? I think there is something left to see. Yes, answers. Right then. Hello, Tom. I'm writing to you at the Candom. I wonder how many of these are like, is it Islington Tribute? I wonder how many of these are just like not active email addresses anymore. No. These don't stop. You're talking. I wonder if I can do this. What we're gonna do. Sorry, I don't have to like keep moving the tab back and forth. You just get the middle of it. Something live to see. Are we gonna sing the westerly? A brighter day. What we gonna do when the money runs out? If I do this, I can just move it all the way to the right and still have a tiny sliver of my screen. Look at this, dude. Efficient use. I can put my chat here. You can't see this, but I've set up my screen beautifully.
If you guys actually looked into this argument, I'm not sure, is there actually the symmetry breaker between like the veganism purchases, like abstaining from animal products, and the parallel to the human exploitative practices? Like some argument is basically like it wouldn't make such a big deal if we stop boycotting these industries in the human case, because otherwise they don't get like any income whatsoever. That there is like more of a social systemic approach needed.
But then they would do market reform, right? Like I think, like I appreciate that, like if you didn't buy like slave labor T-shirts, like some countries wouldn't like get any income. But surely the
Yeah,
country as a whole would push for market reform where they find another industry, right? And yeah, you could make the argument that it might end up being a worse industry, but like
better.
we do have to change society. Let's say we had like a really poor country, like for example, I don't know, fucking Vietnam, right? And Vietnam's only like sort of industry was running a concentration camp for the Chinese government of like Chinese dissidents, right?
Uh-huh. Right.
That's not a thing we would like to see perpetually for the rest of time, right? So at
Yeah.
some point, like you have to encourage them to boycott running this industry, and then have some amount of either like global aid to like make sure their people don't starve to death, right? Or like encourage some other industry to like grow in that country. You can't just
Would your
maintain.
default
Sorry, go on.
would your default position then be to boycott either way?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it would.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think it would. But I sort of come my sort of moral principles is like progressing societal change, not maintaining like the most ethical status quo, right? Like
Right.
I'm okay with
But
short-term suffering for like long-term like positive reform.
yeah, right. So, but then would the vegan be committed to the position that they have to stop the human exploitative purchases as well? Would they be committed to that position
I think it
necessarily?
depends. I think it depends upon like the sort of quote unquote necessity of the purchase, right? Like, I think for example, if you were buying a tiny like quantity of things that like drastically improved your life, then you should
Right.
source from the most ethical form possible, right? And if there is zero ethical like places, then you should do a sort of like calculation between what it sort of brings you in your ability to do positive change and like what it costs society by you paying for it, right? So like for example, if if you could have like a secretary that would help you send fucking emails to fucking journalists, for example, and your only option was to have a fucking slave do it, right? Then probably you should just do that job yourself, you know? Um,
Now, yeah, I mean, obviously, even if we go with the argument of inherency, right? Now, obviously, like it's inherently bad or like exploitative to use animals, right? But I mean, it is conceivable in a world where like people are treated like fairly. I guess, I suppose, I think, where we can like get like clothes that yeah have been like how do you say like manufactured in an ethical way, I guess. So I think they're not equivalent, fully, I guess.
so, well, I mean, I think there's like the trite sort of position that you don't need clothes, right? Like you can buy clothes from like secondhand sources. You can,
Absolutely.
live off your old clothes, right? We as like a
Yes,
a
yes.
group do not need to have um new clothes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think secondhand in general, if it's feasible and possible and practicable, I think it's a good thing. I think like especially like with smartphones and shit like that. I mean, you can get like pretty like almost new phones that have been used like very slightly, and I think yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good thing. And you can also like save a couple of bucks as well.
Yeah. I almost exclusively wear activism t-shirts. That I'm not entirely sure the ethicalness of their like production, but I don't buy them. I only take them for
Right.
free, and as far as I'm aware, like these organizations have already mass produced them, and they're sat in warehouses. And yeah, okay, if I didn't take them, like someone else would. Sorry, if I didn't take them, my the consumption would go down slightly. But they are also um broadcasting a message that hopefully will change the world, right? But like, if we lived in a vegan world, um, and we didn't need to promote these causes, I wouldn't take these T-shirts anymore, right? Um, it's like the idea that like if you buy a billboard, right? If I buy a billboard in my city that says "Stop eating animals, you fuck," right? And they decide to like put that billboard up with animal-based glue, you know, it's still probably a net benefit, right?
yeah, I was about to ask, like, have you made like any positive experiences by having these like shirts constantly on in public, especially?
Yeah, I mean, I look ridiculous, right? I walk around looking like I'm fucking on my way to Comic Con, or like I'm some sort of like social media influencer that's like, you know, been out on day release. I constantly get people saying like, "Can I take a selfie with you?" And I'm there in a fucking Peter
Right,
t-shirt, right? You know, like
right,
people stare at me because I'm wearing various like accessories on my head and like feet and legs and whatever. But my chest is always an activism t-shirt, right? So I like draw attention to this focal thing that I wear. Um,
right. Yeah, yeah. I do it when I work out. I think I have that benefit. Like obviously, like yeah, just like not just like I mean, basically, how do you say it in English? Uh, I mean, yeah, action speaks louder than words, and I think if I work out and they see it, I mean, I don't usually have like much of conversation with people about it in the gym, but I think like a couple of guys at least like talk with me about it, and I think it's like yeah, better than nothing, I guess. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
maybe they will think about it.
I think
I
people
actually
should
met a vegan
go on.
there as well, so yeah,
I think people should run in activism t-shirts. I think people should like, you know,
yeah,
do everything they can in
yeah,
activism t-shirts, right?
yeah.
Because it's
It's
like
like
free advocacy.
yeah, exactly. It's passive activism, you could say actually. It's like passive activism.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
And like the more sort of the more like inspiring thing you're doing while you do it, the better, right? Like, you know, imagine
Yeah,
you go out of your house, right, and instead of throwing on your Peter t-shirt or your fucking Don't Eat Animals t-shirt, you throw on like your Nike t-shirt, right? And then
yeah,
that day you save a drowning baby, right? And like,
yeah.
you know, 15 million people see like a picture of you on BBC because you saved a drowning baby. Yeah, well done. You still saved the baby, but you also could have had 15 million people see you wearing a Peter t-shirt, right? And all of a sudden it would have been a vegan activist who saves the baby. And yeah, I know it's a silly thing, but like things like that matter, right? Things like that are important.
Right. Yeah, from this perspective, I think I can appreciate utilitarianism a bit more. I think, especially like for these social issues. Yeah, I can definitely see the appeal. Uh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can even go further and like even argue, well, how fit should vegans be in general for the public image and all that shit. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't necessarily think you need to be fit. You just need to be trying to have an impressive life. I think if you want to
Yeah,
do like passive advocacy, you should go out of your way to try and be an impressive person.
yeah,
And then just you don't really have to mention that you're vegan, right? Like it will, you know.
right, yeah,
But I think every opportunity to do that should be done, you know.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like ethics is always like something, yeah, like endless striving, basically, right? I mean, you never reach like it's like not a destination. It's like constantly improving or trying to improve at least. I mean,
I mean, I think we will hit a destination. I think we will actually eventually get to the destination, at least for animal agriculture.
yeah,
I think for yeah, like hunting and stuff, it's going to be like a constant problem. Um, but I think for animal ag, we'll get at least within various countries, we'll get to the point where
yeah,
it's a solved problem.
yeah, yeah. I think in the West it probably will like opposite a bit earlier, I guess, than in other countries. I guess. I mean,
You know.
I think like religiosity will probably also play like a huge role. I guess.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's why
religiosity and
America's
also
gonna suffer.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, since yeah, in America, like you have like every state has their own shit. Like, and yeah, I would imagine that some countries are probably like some states are probably like less inclined to be or like less welcome.
I think it's. I think. I
Welcome.
think the change will be like whether or not a country is sort of like, um, how do I say this? Like whether or not they sort of favor like collectivism or individualism, right? Like the reason America struggles with like social reform is because they have this like strong sense of individualism, and that
Right.
means that they don't like regulation, right? They don't like
Yeah.
mandated sort of like equality schemes. They sort of believe that every person should strive a path for themselves, and should really receive as little help as possible, only to stop them literally dying, right? Whereas other countries feel that there should be like a they think the bar for the minimum you should be able to have is much higher, you know.
What's up, people?
Yeah.
How we doing? What's the topic of the room?
Well, I mean, we were all vegans, so we were discussing other things, but I suppose it changes. Are you a vegan?
Yeah. No, I meant what is going on right now, not what is the topic of this like room in general. Just like what are
Oh,
we on about right now?
me,
We were talking about. I
go on,
think
Val.
it was like cross purpose. Like is that right word? Like cross purpose? I don't know. Like different topics essentially. Yeah.
All right,
We
all right.
talked about like the parallels between like human exploitative purchases and like animal exploitative purchases, parallels, similarities, differences, and
I
then
mean,
passive,
yeah.
and then like passive activism in the form of like wearing, I don't know, like vegan T-shirts, like in public, etc., etc. Yeah.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from. It always boils down to like how individualistic do you want to be and how much you think every single individual can change something about the main issue.
Yeah, I think I would actually be in the middle, and I would say like it's not mutually exclusive, right? I think you have to do both. Absolutely. Uh, yeah, especially under capitalism, I think yeah you have to say no to these purchases. Otherwise, I mean, if everyone has the mindset it has to be like a top-down approach, like where you have to change like these policies, then yeah, I don't know how convincing it will be if I still if I still purchase animal products. I mean, there's like no force behind it. If everyone has that attitude that yeah, change has to come from like top down, everyone has that attitude, yeah, nothing is gonna change. I think. I mean, it's like
True,
both, I believe.
true,
But yeah, I'm a
true.
firm believer of also societal change, because that will actually do more, like more pressure. I think. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
I would never argue for it has to change from the top down. I'd argue for the opposite of
Okay.
it starts from the bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, like not consuming non-vegan products is definitely good to
Yeah.
at least
Help the course.
yeah, because first of all you can do it for yourself, and second of all, even if it's just a teeny tiny bit, you're nudging the economy a certain way. But
Absolutely.
no matter what we do, the system itself never gonna be like friendly towards
I
the
disagree.
climate or animals or
Uh,
everything.
oh, you mean the animal agriculture system, or do you mean the system of like oil production?
Uh, yeah, I'm what I'm saying is, as long as we have the way of production we do have right now, and as long as that is lucrative, and that would even be lucrative with like most of the population going vegan, there's like not gonna be a huge a huge change.
I think I disagree with you. I think we see that we don't need like a majority consensus to have legislative reform. I think we don't need this like magical 51% number. We're actually going to see legislative reform way before we get to 51%. Um,
No, I'd argue the number is even higher than 51%.
that's just not reflective of like former legislative change, right? Like we see from history that you don't need that majority. You need significantly lower than that majority. Like, so it might feel like we do, but like if you actually follow like former social justice movements. It's just not the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's all speculation. I cannot 100% say what's going to happen. Neither can you. Yours is very likely as well. That's gonna take less.
I mean, mine's based on like literal like evidence of like former things, right? I mean, it's not just a thought or a feeling. Like, this isn't me telling you my opinion. Like, this is me saying, look, when we see from from history, like how many people it takes to force change, it's significantly less than 50%.
What product that is as widely used as animal products, including meat, has ever been removed from our
Cigarettes.
supply?
Cigarettes has been vast. Like, the relationship humans have between cigarettes has changed so dramatically in the last 30 years, right? They literally started printing gore on the side of the packets.
I 100% agree, and it is a good example, but I'd argue that cigarettes are not as deep in society as literally just consuming meat or drinking milk.
I think that's irrelevant, right? They're literally like an addictive drug that used to be sold to people as like a health product. Like, doctors used to say, "Hey, smoke cigarettes; it'll be good for you." And then we realized that they weren't, right? Then we realized they were causing cancer, which actually it was covered up for ages that they were causing cancer, right? And only finally, after like a massive campaign by a small group of individuals, was it changed. But it certainly wasn't the majority, right? And I think that is so analogous to like meat products, right? Like,
I understand. I 100% get your point. This is a very good example.
yeah. The irony is that if we printed the picture of dead animals on the side of the dead animal box, like, it wouldn't do anything, right? Maybe it would actually. Can you imagine if we had pictures of like cows' throats being slit on every single packet of beef? Can you imagine if we had?
May I add something onto that? No, like I 100% still stand with your example, and it's an amazing example. Like it is indeed very good, but like I don't think those pictures on cigarette boxes ever changed anything. Like I I
I think
I
they
know
did.
so many smokers and smokers that started after me, started before me, whatever. Even I smoked myself. I don't think anyone ever gave a single shit about these pictures.
I disagree. I don't think that you have to like immediately stop buying the product because of the picture, but I think every single day, like, seeing the brutal reality of like what you might be doing to your body, like, adds up, right? You might know people who quit and they say they just quit because they finally realized like that they probably should, but I think those images almost
I
certainly had
understand,
some
yeah.
contributive factor, right?
The subliminal messaging, yeah.
Well, it's just this idea that like what you're doing isn't just normal, right? What you're buying isn't just like another random product, right? It is a thing that's harming you, right? Like, it sort of differentiates it from any other product you buy, because no other product they were buying had pictures of lung cancer on the side of the box, right?
Understand. No, I also 100% like the idea of like printing some pictures or informative media onto animal products. I think that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'd be funny actually. I don't know if it would be better to do human-centric ones or animal-centric ones. You could show like human arteries being clogged, or you could also show cows having their heads cut off, right? Like, I don't know which would have a better impact.
I mean, I'd say that it's probably the cows, but as cigarettes are, as far as I'm aware, when the pictures appeared on the boxes, at least over here, cigarettes were already a product that was like 18 plus. So I don't know if I like the idea of just a random kid going to the store, walking past a milk carton on eye level and just seeing a beheaded cow.
Why?
I don't know if that's the vibe.
I mean, they're already seeing loads of dead bodies, right? Like, when they walk through the meat aisle, they see row upon row of dead chickens that have been skinned, plucked. Well, not plucked, not skinned,
It's it's
plucked.
it's 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 gross and disgusting, but I think especially when it comes to like certain kinds of people, we should not start with the fucking drastics, but rather just
I
introduce them to it.
I vastly disagree. I think I grew up in a you probably are similar age to me. And you might remember the adverts on TV of like little kids in Ethiopia who were like basically Holocaust like survivor looking, right? They were emaciated, sort of like bags of skin and bones, right? And then there was an appeal for people to give money, right? Like I think today, if people showed that on TV, people would say, "Why are you showing this graphic footage on the television?" Right? But the reason they were doing it,
How old are you?
I'm 33.
Yeah, I'm quite a bit younger
Okay,
by 10 years.
fair
So
dues.
when I think about those advertisements, I think like of course of like starving children, but they were usually clothed like the pictures were not good, don't get me wrong,
Uh-huh.
but they weren't as gross as you laid them out to be. So we kind of grew up on different media there.
That's fair. Well, in my day, it was literally like kids in rags, um, with like their head being significantly larger than the rest of their body in proportion, like a small little sort of like bone chest, right? With like you could literally see the ribs, and then like horrifically emaciated arms and legs, right? Because they've basically been starving to death, right? They picked the most graphic
Yeah,
pictures
yeah.
ever possible for these kids, and then said, please give us money, right? And I think it's okay to highlight the atrocities that are happening, like with like um, true
Yeah,
true
yeah, yeah,
true to
yeah.
effect images.
I cannot disagree with you. I just say that I'd probably go about it differently, but your view also makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
You, I presume from your accent you're German, right?
I am.
Yeah. Uh, nice. Are you
You
vegan
got
though?
me. I am vegan. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds even
Congrats.
more sympathetic.
Uh,
So,
my
would
my
you
my.
also would you also include the harm caused by like standardized farming? Like if you were to grow a carrot,
Can
would
we
you
not?
also put out like a 1080
No,
compound, like
not
and its
today.
effects on animals? I'm sure I'm gonna get muted soon, so don't worry. But would you not also put out those effects too?
Um, wouldn't that like
So
first of
carrots,
all,
right?
first of all, I no look, I come from Europe. And I don't know how it is about. I,
Red Wild is like a fucking notorious troll who comes in here every day only to talk about fucking pesticides. It's horrifically fucking disingenuous, or he's horrifically disingenuous, and does not give a fuck about the effects on animals. He just wants to push this weird narrative about petrochemicals. And he does it every single fucking day, and it's really fucking annoying, and it drives me up the wall. Right, so I think I've got a list of emails. I don't know how long they are, but I'm going to send them. I'm going to attach my press release. I'm going to open my email address. I am going to put in Skylark's details, and I think we're done. I'm going to eat my dinner. This is kind of nice. I don't know. I don't know if people enjoy. I don't know why people are listening. They probably just enjoy my voice. Um, I don't know if they'd prefer listening to Red Wild say dumb things, or if they'd prefer me monologuing about fucking press releases. I don't really want to give Red Wild a platform. I think he's a fucking idiot. Um, I sort of wish he would get muted in rooms. Fortunately, he doesn't. Um, I don't really know what to do about it, other than be salty, because I don't have mod access in this room anymore, because people are transphobic sacks of shit. So I'm just going to be a bit salty. And I'm currently putting curry into a bowl with rice, so I can have my breakfast at 5 p.m. or whatever the time it is. What time is it? Is it 5 p.m.? It's stupidly late, and I'm having my breakfast because my life is not doing too great at the minute. My life's a bit fucked. But I'm using you guys as a coping mechanism. I'm using you guys as like a weird body double, so that I can hopefully have a slightly more productive day than every other day this week. I'm probably going to put some clothes on and have a wee, because I'm really sweaty in my dressing gown, and I probably shouldn't be really sweaty in my dressing gown, and yeah, so I'm going to have a wee, and I might unmute the other fucking room, I suppose. Maybe. I'm having sweet and sour for breakfast. Sweet and sour fake pork with various vegetables. I hate that when you get the fake meats, they give you like ridiculously less vegetables than they should otherwise give you. Like, just give me the vegetables, bro. I'm not protein maxing. I don't need this shit. What am I doing?
You probably won't get convinced, and we probably won't either, right? Like, there's like such a.
Ugh, are we still doing this? Yeah, so they're still doing it.
Right.
And that living a more whole food, organic lifestyle is going to be better in the end for the animals than living a chemical toxic standard farming vegan lifestyle.
Well, but they're not necessarily like mutually exclusive, right?
I don't think there's a but in that. I didn't say but.
Yeah, I'm saying they're not mutually exclusive, right? You can do both.
They are. You cannot do both because vegans generally oppose
Jesus Christ.
organic farming.
Well, I don't know where you.
Let's try a different room.
Hey, Jess.
Hello, how you doing? I'm writing press releases for
So, Drug Nerd, what have you been up to?
events.
On chilling, doing some homework and stuff.
Drugs?
Yes, lots of
Hell
drugs.
yeah.
Yesterday I did kratom.
Everyone's
What I've really
done
done
now.
today, well, aside from taking.
Hey Moon, are you vegan?
Yo, you sell drugs?
Do
No,
I
so-
sell
I need
them?
some. Bro, I'm crazy. I need some.
Oh, I was muted. Whoops.
Yo,
I didn't
Joe.
realize I was muted. Hello. Hey Moon, you
Make
vegan?
the drugs-
hi.
Make the drugs yourself. Don't buy them. Like a real champ.
Wow, that takes extra effort, though.
I mean,
Nah, just grow
I
your own
feel
coke.
gasoline. Gasoline is good.
You
can
can
only
grow
grow
coke.
coke. You can only grow
You
coke
can.
in certain climates. Like maybe if you live in like
Jesus Christ.
Chiapas or something, you could do it. But like if you're further north, it won't.
Resources.
Okay.
That's
I'd rather
it.
listen to Red Wild than the children.
Our world and data.
Are you gonna post any of them?
No, absolutely not. You're not going to read them.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean I've been in good faith. I've read everything you said, and probably 70% of the time.
I think saying
not-
that you're not interested in anything a person has
Yeah.
to say, I don't think that's the definition of good faith.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Bingo. Nailed it.
What are you talking about?
You said you weren't interested in anything you had to say.
There you go.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
that-
I'm not
would you
interested.
consider that? Would you
I'm not
consider that
interested.
charitable?
Yeah, I'm not interested in somebody's opinion. I'm interested about what
Why not?
happens.
Why not? Opinions can be right or wrong, can't they?
I mean, we're listening
Yeah,
to
if
your
they,
opinion the entire time.
if they, no, I haven't stated any opinion. I asked questions. Are you fucking retarded? Like, can you track?
Whoa.
Are you fucking retarded?
Can we not use like mental
That's
health
okay.
slurs on actual mental health like sort of people, please?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, he is mental.
Yeah, I know. So let's
are
not
you
use
gonna
that one.
post... No, I might still.
Because he
call him
clearly
out,
is,
but
bro.
Are you gonna post any empirics that one kills more animals than the other?
Yeah, let's go to side chat, right?
Oh, okay.
Because I will say, you mentioned I don't read what you cite, but 70% of the time when you post something, it does not say what you're saying. The countless times it has been over and over, it does not say what you say, what you think it says.
Let's just look at this, right? This is a company, and easily Googleable. You can look
you're not. I've read these. They're not going to state. Yeah, they're not going to state. Yeah, these are not stating. What was my question? What was my question? What was my question? Yep, that was my question.
Dog girl is dogging. Woof. What do we think about Dog Jess? Is Dog Jess hot? I think Dog Jess is hot. Woof. Like I'm wearing clothes, team. I'm doing it.
Why are you stating this? I'm just asking a question. Why are you stating it? How is this helping your position? Are you going to provide data for your position? Are you going to provide data for your position? Are
Why is
you
my
going to
camera so
provide
weird?
data for your position?
Oh shit. Yeah, actually, I was actually looking
Are
at it
you
wrong.
going to provide data for your position? It's a yes or no thing. So you have no data. So you have no data. So you're just full of shit. 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 You're just full of shit. So you're just full of shit.
Wait, are we actually seeing love finally get triggered by Redwild? Is that
You're a
actually
fucking
happening?
retard. Like, come back. I'll read what you post, but you just have to post something that says organic farming kills less animals. That's all you have to do.
This is the best timeline. I'm so glad that we finally have Redwild being muted in this room.
I don't. Why is he muted?
Because he's an
Can I
idiot.
just say he did predict it. You can't call him an idiot because he did predict he would get muted. So you can't
No.
really call him an idiot. 'Cause
Yeah,
he is
no.
right.
That's
He's
like
right.
that's
the
like
issue.
no, that's like me saying, "Oh,
He's
I know
literally had premonition.
that's like me
come
saying,
true.
I know I'm gonna get arrested, and then going and like punching a black person in the face while
All I'm
screaming the
saying
N-word, and then being
as an
like, "Well, I
observer of
knew
this
I was gonna get arrested. I knew I was gonna get arrested. Big state is
As an
suppressing
observer
me."
of this conversation, this man made a prediction. This man made a prediction that he was going to get muted. I have seen empirical evidence that he just got muted, and therefore, it seems to me, this guy seems to be right. There are more considerations
Hey Larry.
in favor of this.
Hey Larry. Hey Larry. Hey Larry,
right?
I'm gonna make a prediction,
Yes.
right? Larry, I'm gonna call you a cunt. Hey Larry, you're a cunt. Wow, I was right. Whoa, whoa!
Mate,
I've seen empirical evidence that Jess has been right about future events.
I would love
That is
also
amazing.
love to say something about that. The Earth is flat, and my proof to that is I'm gonna get banned, and now I will say the N-word 10 times. How's that? How is that in regards to the first claim?
This guy didn't say the N-word. He just tried to argue with your position.
No, but it's a yeah, but all that the one person asked from the and animal cruelty person was asking for data, and that was not supplied. Like, and even though they are banned, they can.
An article.
Yeah, an article we've already read and doesn't support his position.
Why doesn't it literally shows how animals are hurt during this normal or inorganic farming or whatever it is?
Okay, and it does.
How is that not data?
Does it showcase that the amount of harm done in inorganic farming is greater or equal to the harm we do by using organic effluents from factory farms and thus supporting factory farms?
No, not conclusively.
Okay, so it's not. It's not useful, right? Because all it does is say that.
It is
Wait. No.
No.
Let me continue. Let me continue.
It's not conclusive.
Let me continue. Right. So imagine if I said, right, that punching Nazis, right, causes like physical distress and harm to Nazis, right? Thus, we shouldn't actually like shoot the Germans in World War II because we're causing suffering to Nazis, right? And I didn't provide any sort of comparable data to how harming Nazis might reduce the harm of those Nazis shooting innocent citizens or opposing militaries, right? I just provided evidence that Nazis get harmed when you punch Nazis. Would that be a study, right, that we could use to not killing Nazis?
No, because it's a terrible hypothetical. A better hypothetical.
It's a very good hypothetical.
A better hypothetical would be, right? I think Hitler is worse than Stalin, right? And I provide a source that says, Hitler killed 6 million Jews during World War II. And then you say, no, this isn't a reason why Hitler's worse than Stalin. Sure, it may not be conclusive. It may not be the smoking
Wait,
gun,
wait,
the
whoa.
silver bullet.
Wait.
But the point is, it is a consideration in favor of the proposition.
No,
And
no,
to
no,
move
no,
forward
no,
for
no.
that
No,
is
it's not.
We are
disgraceful.
asking for the source that shows that Hitler is worse than Stalin.
Well, I don't think there's going to be a peer-reviewed study that says that.
Let me Google right now.
Yeah, sure. You're going to get a bunch of op-ed pieces in the Wall Street Journal or the New Yorker.
I'm sure not. I'm sure you're just going to get a graph that shows the number of people killed under Stalin's regime versus the number of people killed under the Nazi regime.
Yep, that's exactly what I get from multiple different sources.
Whoa, I predicted the future. That means I'm clever now too.
So wait, hang on. You guys agree that the data of how many deaths Hitler inflicted would actually be relevant to the conversation of whether or not Hitler or Stalin is worse?
Yeah, but not if you present it. Wait. Not if not if you present it in a vacuum and
you do realize it
and
makes,
are
it makes people
and
who
are
don't really already
not
agree
if
with
you
it
present
makes
it
them
not if you present it
alienated from
not
your
if you
position.
present it in a vacuum and are completely unwilling to discuss the other side of the equation. If you just present the number of deaths, right, that
How's he
happened.
unwilling? You muted him.
If you presented the number of deaths that happened under the Nazi regime, and then when someone said to you, well, how many people died under Stalin, and you said, well, I don't want to discuss that, it's just less. No, we're not going to discuss it, it's just less. And I present you with data and they go, no, that's wrong, it's just less.
You could argue that Stalin's deaths or body count was due to incompetence or mismanagement, whereas somebody could argue that Hitler's were actually intentional, right?
That's irrelevant.
Why is that irrelevant?
I'll say they weren't like unintentional. Like Stalin intentionally killed like large swathes of his like sort of ethnic populations he didn't like, and he also purposefully like used his like people in like sort of disposable manner.
So was intentional?
I'm not going to discuss. This isn't going to become. We're not actually going to discuss whether or not Hitler or Stalin was worse. That's not actually the point.
Right? You raise an issue, right? And it's a nuanced issue with both sides of it. And then as soon as the issue actually gets dissected, you're like, we're not going to talk about this. But you.
Irrelevant. The reason I mentioned it is because one person is clearly unwilling to discuss the second half of the equation.
He's not unwilling. You've muted him. There's a difference.
Larry, you're an idiot.
Retard.
Mm-hmm. Stop calling me sir. Thanks. Jesus. Are you serious? You vegan? No, Larry, I don't want to talk to the barking dog anymore. I'd like to talk to someone else. Right.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I do that all the time. I did that yesterday. No, that's a joke. I don't go to the doctors. I don't believe I don't believe in medicine.
Are you serious? How do you know what my definition is? Can we talk about what your definition is? My definition is that veganism is a moral position to reduce the exploitation and suffering of animals to the extent of your capability to do so. Why? Can I like talk to you about what your definition is then, serious? Or is that not allowed? Oh, okay, cool. I'd love to speak to you when you are in a setting to speak. That would be wonderful. Thank you for typing to me.
Understand that you've been speaking to him the whole time while he was talking with someone in chat.
Also, I'm a she, my darling. I know I sound like a boy.
What are we talking about, guys? Boys and girls? What are we talking about?
We're talking about animals.
I think it's definition of veganism.
Hey, Pads, how do you feel about animals?
Yeah, it I don't know. There's like some people who try to get exact definitions. Yeah, no, people have tried, but I think everyone has their own like little nuance and motivation for it.
Any way,
Yeah,
shape,
but
or form. It's therefore necessary.
this
And
is where we
therefore,
reach
I
the
am a vegan.
suicide
I
clause.
love burgers. I love hot dogs. I love all of these things.
I love raping
I
dogs.
love veganism.
I love raping dogs.
I don't see that as.
And I've decided that that's
harshing.
vegan
That's
because I
unnecessary.
need to do it. No, it's not.
It's a
Hey,
good
that's
point.
fair play, actually. No, that's fair play. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can be a vegan and rape dogs.
Yeah. So, do you think raping dogs is okay?
Yeah, if it's.
If I was your neighbor,
and
if I was your neighbor and I was raping a dog in your garden, like next to you, like outside your garden, would you build a fence, or would you just like be happy for me to rape dogs in the garden next to you?
I just welcome the vegans into the community.
So if I was raping a dog like next to your house, you'd just be okay with it?
Yeah,
How
I'd
did
be
we
okay
arrive
with it.
here, man?
Yeah, I don't think you're a.
I
don't
can live
think.
with it, bro.
I don't think you're a good faith interlocutor. I don't know why you're still like allowed to talk in
I
here.
don't think you guys are, though.
Yeah, I think.
Bro, we don't want to get into my definition.
What if I was raping a child in the house next to you? Would you be okay with that?
Oh, yeah, bro.
Jesus
Why would you even ask that?
Would you be okay with that?
No, of course not.
Why not? What's the difference?
The difference is one's an animal. He doesn't even have.
They're both animals.
A high level of consciousness, right?
You've just described a
Whereas
child.
baby
An animal with
thinks being.
like an animal without a high level of consciousness is a baby. You've just described a baby.
Animals, bro.
Humans are
We sit
animals.
far above.
By definition,
far
humans
above
are
that crowd.
animals.
We sit far above that crowd.
No, it's irrelevant. Humans are
You
animals.
don't believe in the human soul.
Okay, are we plants?
You don't believe in the human
Are
soul.
we rocks? Are we minerals?
You don't believe in.
Are we concepts? Are we ideas?
Do you believe in the human soul, sir?
Can you stop calling me sir?
Sorry, sir. Do you believe in the human
Okay,
soul?
so that's against us. You can't keep misgendering me.
Yeah, stop misgendering them, man. Stop funny.
Why? Aren't we just animals? What? How do we determine
We are
the
animals.
sex of an animal?
No, don't
It just
misgender
gets
people.
boring.
how
It
do we
just gets
determine
boring,
sex in
Larry,
animals?
very quick, bro. It just gets boring, Larry, very quick. Nobody laughed when you did it, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not. It's not supposed to be funny, bro. It's actually.
Well, why are you doing it then? So
Okay, well,
are you
address it
doing
with
it
the
to
proper
insult
pronoun.
me?
If humans are animals. how
Humans
do we
are
determine
animals.
Sex in animals.
Jesus, this escalated so quick.
It's because Larry's
Oh,
not
no,
a good
no.
faith interlocutor.
How many sexes are there in a bee species?
Larry,
So-
I'm not gonna waste time. Like, address your pronouns properly, or I'm gonna mute you. Like, seriously.
What's the
Not hard.
point?
It's called respect, right? So just do it.
Larry doesn't do respect.
It's just easier
Yeah.
to do it than not do it. Like, literally, it's easier to just do it.
What's the question? Like, just give me a question that.
Is it okay to rape a baby? And if not, why?
Yeah, it's wrong to rape a baby.
Why?
Why? Because
Yeah.
it's not within any of your duties to be raping a baby.
No, it's not. I don't. So I don't need to eat meat. I just want to, right? And I don't need to rape babies. I just want to.
All right, if it's not within any of your duties to eat meat, you shouldn't be eating meat either.
Okay, so it's not yours. Why don't you stop?
Well, I believe I do have it. I believe.
Yeah. Oh, I believe I have a duty to rape babies. Is that okay?
Well, I think you're wrong. I don't think you do actually.
That's irrelevant. I'm not asking whether or not you think I'm wrong. I'm asking why I'm wrong. I'm asking why I'm wrong.
What function within society would you be serving that your duty would
Pleasure.
be sort of facilitating?
Pleasure.
That's not a.
That's why we eat meat. We eat meat for pleasure. We don't eat meat because we need to.
That's not a function in society.
Why do you do it?
Most societies
Why
eat it
do you
for
do
pleasure,
it,
bro.
bro?
Not all.
I don't do it. This is a hypothetical.
If you, So whenever you see someone eat meat, is that the equivalent of you viewing someone raping a baby, bro?
Well, it's comparable. I never said it was equivalent, but yeah, it's comparable.
It's comparable. So why
Yeah.
don't? That's awful. How can you're actually a horrible person if you consider that equivalent?
I never said
can
it.
you
You keep
stand
saying
your
equivalent,
ground
and I
and
keep
you
saying
people do
comparable.
that?
So you know when I said it wasn't
That's
equivalent, but it
disgusting.
is comparable, and you completely
So
ignored that and said if you consider that equivalent.
When you go to a restaurant, you
Larry, are you capable of like actually listening? Are you capable of like like noise going in your head and like you interpreting that noise into like you know sentences with like meaning, and then like reciprocating like words that like are sequential to the sentence you've just heard, or are you not capable of that?
babies get raped and not
Because
do
you
anything about
you
it.
seem like a low sort of sentient animal. Does that mean we're allowed to put you in a gas chamber and kill you because you're not sentient enough to be considered human?
How am I not sentient, bro? Do you even know what sentience is?
Yeah. So I just said to you they're not equal. They're comparable, and you said if you see those as equal.
They're comparable though.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
How do you not? How are you not like slapping people? Like
Hey
have you ever
Larry.
Pizzagate?
Hey
You know
Larry.
what those
Larry.
right-wing fucks-
Larry, you have
you know
half
what
as
they
many
did
legs
when
as
they
a
saw
chair.
a pizza restaurant? You know what they thought?
Larry, you have half as many legs as a chair. Does that make you a chair?
Yeah, Larry, you're spiraling, bro. You're spiraling.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we should actually mute Larry because Larry's avatar is a puppy, and puppies are animals, and they don't deserve like moral consideration. So I don't know why they're allowed to talk in this human VC. Hey Pat, are you vegan, or do you just advocate for our views when morons say stupid things?
Yeah, I'm not a I'm not a vegan, but I no way agree with what Larry said. The shit Larry's saying, bro. Love, sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, like
I don't mind,
yeah,
bro.
I'm not a vegan.
I'm okay with bro.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. But yeah, I don't agree with Larry either way. All the shit he's saying.
Okay. Can I ask you some funny questions?
Sorry, what?
Can I ask you some funny questions?
Yeah, I don't want to be rude to the room though, but yeah, sure, go ahead.
What do you think? Like, do you think we need to eat animals?
Not what for like substitute for like the meat and the proteins. Like,
Yeah,
do we
yeah.
actually need to eat them
To survive, yeah.
It's environmental. So a lot of there's still a few communities that because of climate and stuff, probably they do need to like raise cattle. But as the West,
Well, I meant
technology probably not. No.
So I specifically meant you.
incredibly-
Do you need to eat animals?
Do I need to eat animals? I mean, vegan food's getting cheaper. I don't need to eat it. No, not if I can sustain myself other ways.
Okay.
Like economically.
Okay.
I don't need to as such. Not for the protein. We can get it off of plants and shit, but it's just extremely inefficient.
It's really not. It's really not. There's like we can get like seitan, which is higher in protein than any meat-based or animal-based product. It's 75 grams of protein per 100 grams of seitan.
Where do you
Yeah.
find that? Like what food?
You just buy flour. You buy a bag of flour and make
What,
it yourself.
really?
Yeah, literally, yeah.
What, really?
Yeah, you basically buy a bag of flour, put it in a bowl with some water, right? And then squeeze the water out, and then add some more water and squeeze the water out, and you'll end up with gluten, right? Just like basically only gluten.
Oh, okay.
And you bake it, and you have a ridiculously like if you take out the bag of flour, right, and you read on the back how much protein is in the entire bag of flour, right? You just remove all the other ingredients by adding water and squeezing out the water, right? So you get the entire protein content of a bag of flour in like a much smaller amount.
I was thinking like the price of like Linda McCarthy's fucking vegan burgers and shit like that, you know.
So I run ultramarathons and I mostly eat rice and beans, both of which have a reasonable high protein content. And when you mix rice and beans together, you get all the amino acids you need to produce full proteins. Like
how stocky are you? Like how if you run marathons, like what kind of build are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I have big legs. I have big old chunky thighs and butt and calves, and then I have a pretty. Well, I'm taking estrogen, so I also have breasts. So
but like naturally, are you stocky? Are you slender? Are you just
I was rake thin until I started running, and then I started putting on muscle, like significantly.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the opposite for me. But...
So like we have vegan like Olympic athletes. We have vegans doing all sorts of stupid things. So if we clearly can exist on a vegan diet, and bags of flour and beans and rice are not expensive, right? So if you want to
individuals versus society, that's like where I struggled with your question. Individually, if you ask everyone on an individual level, do you have to? No. But considering like that's the way like all the production lines are, that's the way cultures are. I mean, there's certain like traditions centered around certain meat at certain times of year. It's we do need it societally.
I don't think we do, but I want to talk just to you.
What I mean, though? Like,
right?
there's the different. Yeah, but me personally, no, I don't personally need it.
And are you against needless harm to animals?
Needless, yeah, obviously. Yeah.
And do you concede that when you buy animal products, you cause some amount of harm or incentive to do harm to do animals, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. Well, then how do you justify buying these products knowing they cause needless harm to animals, which you say you're against?
Well, that's my issue. I don't, and I do it with a heavy fucking burden, bro. Love, sorry, whatever.
Bro's good.
Like, yeah, with a heavy conscience.
Okay.
I can understand. Yeah, we could be raising these cattle a lot more morally and ethically, correct, whatever you want to say, just. But we choose not to. So it's a compromise I'm willing to live with. Like I'm willing. But me personally, I am just willing to live with that burden.
Would you not prefer to not be a hypocrite though? Right? Like if you had the option to not be a hypocrite, would that not be preferable?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm a real big fan of like synthetic meats.
Okay, but like synthetic meats are like a future thing, right? Like we could currently be not causing issues now, right?
We're getting there. It's nowhere near production, but I think we can pretty much grow synthetic meat as it is, bro. But it's just not.
Can I ask you a funny hypothetical?
Ready, you know?
Can I ask you a ridiculous hypothetical?
Fake meat. Yeah, sure.
Wonderful. So let's say you're married to a wonderful lady called Sally, right?
Oh, it's my dog's old name.
Well,
Go on, sure.
this is gonna hit hard places. So let's say you're married to a lovely lady called Sally, right? And you really love Sally, right? But unfortunately, you really like beating her with a bat, right? It's like a little vice that you've got. Beating her with a bat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we went dark places, right?
Okay.
And let's say we're having a conversation about whether or not you should stop beating Sally with the bat. And you're like, look, I know I should. I know I'm a hypocrite. I'm not yet able to do it, right? For whatever reason, I'm just struggling to stop, right? Do you think it would be silly to say, well, I'm going to wait for lab-grown Sallys that I can beat before I stop beating Sally?
It depends how a customer was to beating Sally, bro. Like, this is a weird.
Well, no. Think about Sally. No, don't think about you. Think about Sally.
No, fuck Sally. No, forget Sally. It's like like I say, it's about my compromise. Am I willing to live with that level of?
Well, it's not though, is it? It's not. Wait, no, it's not. If we were having this conversation genuinely about domestic violence, the abuser, the perpetrator, right? Their sort of like feelings would be infinitesimally less important than the victim's feelings, right?
Yeah, I am just trying to bring it back to the original argument. It's a totally separate case in it. I don't consider humans and animals to be on the same level.
They don't have to be. They don't have to, right? I think it's important to understand, right, that like beating your wife, right, is just as needless as eating meat. But one of them is societally normalized, and the other one is societally like sort of demonized, right? But both
depends what society you're in for a start, mate.
It does. It does.
Some parts of the world.
In your society, right, beating wives is probably societally demonized, right?
Most definitely Britain.
Wonderful, right? So, right, it's important to understand that both of these are needless, and all I've done is ratcheted up the victim, right, to someone that you would feel a very, very sort of distinct, empathetic response to, right? Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the empathy side of it. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm trying to do.
I empathize with the dog as much, but then I don't attempt to.
But that's the point. The reason you can't empathize with them, right, is because you've been societally conditioned to see these animals, right, as food, right? But they're not. They're living, sentient creatures, right, who can think, feel, fear, and love, who are pushed into gas chambers, and they suffer horrific slow deaths. Right, they're tortured to death.
Exclusive, like they can be those things and still be food.
No, they can't. Right, Sally can't be food. No, they can't, dude. Sally isn't food. Sally's a sentient individual who doesn't want to be beaten. Right, and a pig isn't food. They're a sentient individual that does not need to be eaten. Right, if we do not need to eat these animals for food, right, then there's no more legitimacy to eating their flesh than there would be to eating baby flesh. Right, because babies contain all of the nutrients, minerals, and sort of macronutrition that you need to be a strong, healthy boy, right? But it doesn't justify eating babies.
In terms of like modern society, like like I say, I get what you're saying. We can shift shit, but in terms of like species,
we're not talking about species. We're talking about you.
Like species like evolution.
But we're talking about you.
I know, but I'm just trying to point out how even these animals will eat each other.
But that's irrelevant. Why do animals eat other animals?
For the same reason we do.
No, they don't. Why do these animals eat other animals? What would happen?
To survive.
Yeah, exactly. They do it to survive. Do you need to eat animals?
We broke it down. Me individually, or
you? Do you need to eat animals?
Me, not
okay,
me, no.
So you're not doing it to survive, are you? Why do you have a chicken curry instead of a chickpea curry? Why do you pick the chicken curry?
You put full colouring and chicken curry.
One sec, look, no, but we've established, like I say.
Wait.
We've established.
You pick the chicken curry because you prefer it, right? Because you think it's tastier.
No, because I like chicken.
Exactly, because it's tastier. So you eat animals for pleasure, not for survival, right? A lion doesn't eat a gazelle for pleasure. A lion eats a gazelle because if a lion didn't eat a gazelle, a lion would die, right? And if you're ever in a position where you need to do something to not die, I don't give a fuck what you do. Like, straight up, do whatever the fuck you want if you're doing it to stop dying. But do not pretend that you're doing this for the same reason a lion is doing it, because that's just not true.
There's a difference between like a we, like me and you, and a royal we. Like, there's a reason. What I'm trying to point out is there's a reason that carnivores exist. Like, there is a reason carnivores have evolved to ever exist. There's a reason.
That's irrelevant, dude.
I totally get what you're saying.
No.
Days, yeah,
gorillas. No, don't appeal to teeth, because gorillas have like the largest canines of any sort of like humanoid shape mammal, right? And they eat plants, right? So don't appeal to fucking like teeth, because that's ridiculous, right? Like, what you're looking to do, right, is you're being held under a microscope, right, about your ethical position, right? And you're looking for reasons to not change, right? But you literally have said that you know you should and you don't want to, right? So instead of using this as a way to have the motivation to change, you're looking for a way to avoid the obligation to change, right? And that's fine. If you don't want to change, if you want to be a hypocrite, that's fine.
What I said, bro. Don't get hostile.
I'm not getting hostile. I'm really not getting hostile, right? You came into this conversation saying, I know I'm a hypocrite and I shouldn't do it, right? So I'm literally trying to give you a motivation to change, right? If you've changed your mind and you don't think you're a hypocrite and actually you think it is okay to kill animals for pleasure, then let's go back to the root. Let's go back to the start. Let's go back to A.
One sec. It's one sec. No, it's not that I don't believe that we shouldn't kill animals. You asked about needless killing, so I just don't agree with the current way that we do it. That's all. I will forever always agree that society should be, have cattle essentially.
Even if we don't need to.
I disagree on feeding them corn, pumping them up, holding them factories. I think in 2025.
Do you disagree with artificial insemination?
In what way?
Do you disagree with humans putting their fists inside the anus of cows, right, and then forcibly masturbating them to produce semen?
Yeah, a bit weird. I don't like it.
That's how almost all agriculture on the planet is produced and always will be.
This is what I'm trying to tell. This is what
that's what you pay for.
I'm a big pusher of synthetic meat. Ideally.
Well, no, but that's the point. Whoa. But
let me get the point.
Wait. Pushing synthetic meat, right, is not cattle. Right? Synthetic meat is not cattle. Right? You keep moving your goalposts. Which one is it? Do you want synthetic meat or do you want cattle?
I want the ideal outcome, because I'm trying to agree with you. You are right in what you say.
You're not trying to agree with me. You're trying to avoid doing the thing that will achieve the outcome you want.
I'm trying to answer you.
Do you want lab-grown meat or do you want cattle?
The ideal outcome for society would be lab-grown meat.
Okay, and how do we get lab-grown meat? Do we get lab-grown meat by paying for animals to be systematically abused in like slaughterhouses, or do we get it by buying plant-based products who will fund the lab-grown meat, right? Because it's vegan companies funding lab-grown meat, not meat-based companies.
neither are going to fund lab-grown meat.
No, they
So
are.
it's
We
gonna
we
be-
can literally see who is currently funding lab-grown meat. You can literally do like a data search. You can open ChatGPT and you can write who are the companies funding lab-grown meat, and it'll print you a report of the amount of companies putting money into lab-grown meat. So it is being funded
It's all
currently.
It's all the plant-based people.
Yeah,
all
it is.
all the
It
big
is.
vegan-
Yeah, so the
vegan
main
corporations pushing
companies,
synthetic meat.
the main companies
Fair play.
producing lab-grown meat are meat companies that have started making plant-based products,
Mhm.
right? Because they're aware that people are transitioning away from meat and are now looking at making 100% lab-grown, like basically, exact replicas of meat using laboratories instead of using animals, right? So it's not vegan companies, it's meat companies that are making plant-based products, basically.
Alright, perfect. Are you not on board with that shit? I mean, what's the issue then?
No, I want. If you want lab-grown meat, why don't you buy those plant-based products and thus incentivize a world where those companies defund their animal-based products and fund their plant-based products?
Yeah. It's a good point. I could do that.
You could,
that's a
yeah.
good point.
Because if you want a world where we have lab-grown meat, the best way to do it is to be vegan, so you're not paying for animal products, and buy those plant-based products that will eventually just be lab-grown meat, right? A vegan sausage will eventually just be a lab-grown meat sausage.
If the plant-based companies, I'll take your word for it. I'm not going to Google it. You sound genuine in like what you say. I'm going to take your word for it. I'll check it out at a later date. But if those ones are the main companies pumping money into synthetic meat, then yeah, I concede in what I said.
Okay. But do you also concede that, like, by funding the animal death industry, you are doing the opposite? You are putting funds into a way of farming animals that is cheaper and thus more likely to continue to be the default practice unless it is defunded.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is today not the day you become an ethical vegan and only buy plant-based products?
I think you just like you just said, bro. It's just cheaper. Like I say,
No, it's not cheaper. Beans is cheaper
you just said it was
than meat.
cheaper. You just
Beans
said it
is
was
cheaper.
cheaper.
What do you mean? Veganism is cheaper. No. So plant-based meat alternatives, right, might be more expensive than dead animals, right? But vegan sources of protein, right, like beans and rice, is cheaper than either, right? Right? You can make seitan in your own house, right, for like dirt cheap, right? If you buy seitan from a supermarket, it might be more expensive, right?
I'm on board with your point. Yeah, it's a good argument. It's a very, very good argument, but it just negates everything about taste and flavor.
No, it doesn't. Wait. It doesn't.
Very good.
Have you ever been vegan? Do you have a perception of what it means to be vegan and eat vegan food?
I was vegetarian for about 3-4 years, so not quite.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
Fucking hell. 36 now, probably about 18 years ago.
Okay, wonderful. So I would say that you don't have an accurate perspective of what it means to be vegan today, right?
Not these days, no.
Okay, so I think if you want to like have an accurate perspective, you should try it, right? Because you don't know how much you would have to give up. You don't know if your food would be more tasty or less tasty, right? And the only way you can have a fair judgment as to whether or not it is more tasty or less tasty is by doing it, right?
Very true. I mean, it's very true. It's not like I've never had vegan dishes. Veganism is huge these days. There's vegan dishes wherever you go, and I do eat a lot of shit, like random shit. It's not. I'm a meat eater, but it's not all I eat. So yeah, I mean, fried shit, bro. Like, people bring stuff to fucking.
But my point is, while you're still eating the product, right, that your brain is sort of like slightly addicted to, because people who eat meat are slightly addicted to meat, right? Then you don't. Yeah, it's like a thing. It is true. Yeah.
What are they addicted to? Like a physical addiction or a chemical addiction?
They're addicted to like a pleasure taste. It's the same way people get addicted to like masturbating, right? Because they enjoy the dopamine release of doing the thing.
I did not know meat released dopamine.
Yeah, of course it does.
I thought it was just craving like fat and sugar and salt.
No. The consumption of food is like one of the most like central experiences of a lot of people's lives, right? It's like there's
missing out clearly.
Yeah, people get eating addictions, right? People genuinely like have like a continuous craving to eat, right? It's like a genuine thing. So like unless you like actually like make this attempt to like genuinely see how it would change your life, I don't think it's fair to say that it would be negative, right? And I think
that's fair. Yeah, because when I mentioned Linda McCarthy, I was speaking out my ass from like 10, 15 years ago. And no doubt the whole realm has changed.
Yeah.
But that is a good point. Yeah, in terms of like recipes as well, pricing. Because I mean, I don't know how much of a myth it is, but at first being a vegan was super expensive, as far as I heard.
100%.
Like all the products and shit. But I don't know what it's like these days.
If you go to like the fresh section of the shop and you buy like the vegan fresh sausages next to the like meat fresh sausages, they'll probably be the same price, right? But if you go to the freezer section, right, within the freezer section, there are so many vegan products, especially if you live in the UK. I'm quite lucky in the UK. There's like 6 different types of frozen burger in my local supermarket, right? And some of them are really good. Some of them are meh, but they cost like a quarter of the price of the ones that are really good, right? So I get to
normal
pick.
meat is like meh anyway.
Right, exactly, right, exactly, right. But like I'd like to
That's a good
briefly.
argument. It's a very good. Go on, sorry, go on.
I'd like to briefly. So I didn't go vegan because I wanted to go vegan. I went vegan because my partner basically said, "We're gonna cook vegan food, and you're just gonna have to like it." And I was worried she'd leave me if I didn't do it, right? And I ate vegan food for about a month, right? And after eating vegan food for about a month, I went and I ate a fucking steak, right? Because I was like, I miss this shit. I want a steak, right? Even though I loved the food, right? Even though I was really happy with all the food, my brain was like, why have I been denied steak? I want to eat a steak.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. Like, why would I give up steak?
Wait. But then 3 days later, right? She showed me a She was so upset that I ordered steak. She showed me a documentary of what happens to cows to make steak, right? And I was like, holy fucking shit. Yeah, it was Cowspiracy. I was like, holy fucking shit. I cannot not go vegan now, or she will definitely leave me. But I still didn't really care about the animals yet, right? I still didn't really give a fuck about the animals because I was so indoctrinated that it was like my birthright to eat meat, right? Even though I sort of knew it was wrong intellectually, even though I sort of understood why I shouldn't do it, I was invested in this like birthright to eat meat, right? And I used to say, oh yeah, I'm vegan, but I'd let my kids eat meat because like I wouldn't want to deny them the possibility of eating meat, right? I used to say all these dumb things. And then about a year later into veganism, I finally sort of understood the ethics, right? We're not doing this because my partner will leave me if like I don't stop that if I do this, right? I realized that I'm doing this because I was systematically contributing to a fucking awful system that was mass abusing cows. But my point is, it took me like a whole fucking year of being on a vegan diet before I actually grasped why I was doing it, right?
I could see how that could work, especially because once you come off it, you see how easy it is. Like, you've not got all like the bullshit in the back of your mind.
Yep.
But like, I totally get what you're saying, mate. There's a slaughterhouse in Ashton near me in Manchester. Every time I go past it, I
It's not, mate. It's not. It's closed. It's closed. It's closed.
Oh, it's closed.
I got that one. Well, not me personally, but me and a group of people got that one closed. Yeah,
What
it
do you
was.
mean?
It used to be a gas chamber, so they used to put pigs in gas chambers
Yeah,
there.
it was called like Kerry Foods or something, or Pilgrims.
Pilgrim's Farm, yeah, Pilgrim Foods.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
What do you mean? Did it close? You couldn't. What do you mean?
Yeah, so there's a lovely guy called Joey Cardstrong, and he and a bunch of activists, like Doug Moore, Calvin, what's Calvin's last name? Anyway, a bunch of really cool people. Tasker. So they went in there and they sat on the gas chamber for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, until they got arrested by the police. And they filmed all this undercover footage of what happens to the pigs. And because of that, because they did the industry didn't want to like let people think that pigs are killed in gas chambers, they pretended that this was a quote unquote bad apple slaughterhouse, and they closed it before the documentary was released because they didn't want like mass outrage against the fact that we gas pigs in the UK, right? So that's closed.
Knew we gassed them.
No, but yeah,
it was a common practice.
I come to.
It's a mega company. I used to work for a different Pilgrims, a production company though, not a.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like.
Have you ever seen the We the Free People in Manchester? On the bottom of Market Street. Have you ever seen the vegan activists on the bottom of Market Street?
What, like under the food court?
Yeah, under the food court.
Almost, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, have you ever seen a funny trans girl with pigtails?
Not specifically, no. Why,
okay. That was me, mate. Yeah, I used to be there like every month.
Shit.
Stood in your city.
Yeah, under the food court bit.
There's videos of me on my YouTube channel of me literally stood there doing outreach.
Nice. But it's a good, well-rounded, solid argument you've got. But the issue is just society, and like you say, the production's just never gonna fucking change.
Well, but I'm not talking to society. I'm talking to you, right? And if we want society to change, we need to do so by individual accountability, right? Like I said earlier, I don't know if you were in the room earlier when we were talking about societal change, but societal change doesn't require 51%. It requires, I think the number that they've decided that they've picked out of their ass based on scientific sort of studies of former social justice movements is 14% of the population being vocal about the issue, right? So you don't need to be the last person to stop eating meat, right? You just need to be the part of that 14% who stop doing it and are vocal about it, right?
Yeah.
And we can end it, right?
I don't think you're ever going to end it.
I
think
mate,
I think you are right in the push for investing in the companies that are going to push harder for synthetic meat. I think that is a brilliant argument.
I promise you
that is the one I'd push, but I don't think you're ever going to change meat as in total.
I promise you this is going to end, right? It might not be in your and my lifetime, but this will end.
Yeah, well,
right?
yeah, not in our land, but
in
probably one day.
When we talk about whether or not the world can change, right? I talk about 150 years ago. 150 years ago, in 1880, we implemented a law that forced children to go to school. Right? And the reason that law was implemented is because children were used as cheap and slave labor in factories. Right? So 150 years ago, we were using children as literal like beasts of burden. Right? We were sending them into factories, we were sending them down mines, we weren't educating them. A lot of them died young, and we just didn't care. We just had more kids, right? We had 12 kids, 6 of them lived, right? We did not give a fuck about children. Children are now the most protected subgroup of humans, right? In the Western world, right? In 150 years, we radically altered our relationship with children to the point where it would be unrecognizable, right, to a modern human how we used to treat children, right? If you don't think change can happen, how the fuck did we do that?
No, I do think it's not that I don't think changes happen. I think it's the type of change you're asking for.
Wait. Why do you not think treating animals? Wait. Why do you not think treating animals with respect, because they're innocent beings who don't deserve to be abused, isn't the same to us asking to treat animals with respect because they are innocent beings who deserve to not be abused, right? Because we used to treat children like animals, right?
Like you say, it's the abuse. And my point was, people aren't going to want to stop eating meat in general.
People didn't want to stop. Wait. People didn't want to stop having their children earn money, right? Parents liked the fact that their children could earn them money, right?
But that's why we only changed the working age to 16 and not 40. You know
No,
what I mean?
but they were mandated. But they were mandated to go to school, right? The law had to force parents to send their kids to school because the parents wanted to send their children into factories, right? The law had to make people respect their own kids, right?
I would love to disagree at this point. I'm 100% on part with the message, but I would disagree with that point.
What point?
Because I don't think it's correct to say that the children that the parents did want their children to go to work, maybe because like for an economic value, but basically it was to stop the factories from even being able
but it's
have
both,
children and workers. So the main difference that I'd pull here, like again, all for the message, just I cannot agree with that, is that one was like a change that was wanted, let's say, by the majority of people, and unwanted basically by like everyone's in power, like the factory owners, for example. They didn't want that. Well, now we hit a state with veganism where it's not the very few, like the owners of the meat industry, who want you to eat meat. I mean, of course they also want to, because they want to accumulate more wealth, but it's also the majority of the people, because they don't care yet. So I don't think that like is as fair, but like I said, still 100 agree with the message. But it's a different problem in the root.
I mean, actual point was, it's not that I don't think change is going to happen. It's just I don't think we're ever going to get to the stage where we outlaw the eating of meat.
I think we
we're
will.
going to get better in the practices. I think as ethics rise in.
Do you think we're ever going to ban? Do you think we're ever going to outlaw cigarettes?
I mean, we are doing, aren't we?
Okay, so why do you not think it's possible to outlaw meat?
Because the world's a lot bigger than like the West.
It doesn't matter. I don't mean in the world. I mean in the UK, in the country that me and you share, right? we will ban meat. The UK will probably be the first country that does it. Right? And it
The
might not be in
way
my and your lifetime, but
global
it will happen.
systems work in supply chains and systems and everything, it'd be very strange for individual countries to start banning like
No, it
fucking
wouldn't. Of course it would. No, it
entire
wouldn't.
fucking consumable products.
No, it wouldn't. Like that's literally the thing that we do.
Strange.
That's literally what we do, right? In
We
terms.
do it as a group.
No, we don't. We literally don't. Like there are different countries in the EU that have drastically different like laws on drugs, right? The same in the US, right? The US is a single federal government, right? But some states have some rules and other states have other rules. Like this is not true that like everything is done as a collective. Right? And all of
No, not
this,
everything's
all of
homogenous,
this,
no, but-
wait, all of this is an appeal to futility, right? So that you can still like make an excuse for why you should be allowed to do the thing, right? And that's not what we're talking about, right? Like I want to hold you to account. Why is today the day that why is today not the day, right? That you go away and try veganism for a month.
I mean, it could be. You made a good point, but just staying on this point that we're just on for a second, though. Again, I think you're missing my point. My point isn't that we can't change. It's just that I don't think we're going to change to the extent where we outlaw it, bro. Like,
but that's irrelevant.
I don't. You've not. That was the.
No, but it is
irrelevant.
irrelevant.
I don't like analogies, but that's the analogy you were making when you said, "Well, we've switched to fucking making it."
No. But whether or not whether or not we
saying
stop or not is irrelevant to whether or not you contribute. Right? Is my point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's just where the conversation went.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to hark it back to why is today not
okay,
the day that you go vegan for a month?
Laziness, to be fair, more than anything.
Okay,
I'll be
but
honest with you,
why?
I'm not good at like I'm just not gonna.
But if you think that this is a thing that you should like consider doing, why wouldn't you at least do the thing that allows you to understand like what effect it will have on your life?
It's just like I say, it's just pure laziness. Like I appreciate.
But that means. But that means that. But that means you are okay with contributing to a thing that you believe to be wrong.
Yeah, but I said that. Yeah, I said that. I said like I feel the guilt every single time. Like I'm fully aware of the situation. It's.
I don't think you do.
It's a trade-off.
I think that's an appeal.
A trade-off.
I think that's an appeal to like this idea that you're not as bad as everyone else because you feel guilty, right?
Nah, a lot of people feel guilty. This is nothing special to me. It's just.
Then why is it relevant?
It's just the current state.
If I was beating the shit out of you with a bat,
I'm just the same as everybody else in that regard. Again, it's nothing special.
Well, I think you're worse, right? I think you're worse, right? I think to say I feel guilty but I do it anyway. I think that's worse.
I mean, that's from most people. I think. Hopefully they fail anyway, but unless they're just ignorant of it, obviously. But the ones that are aware should at least feel somewhat guilty, because, like you say, the techniques you use are needless.
Well, you could stop though. Then why don't you stop? Then why don't you stop?
I mean, laziness, indoctrination.
Is laziness a good justification?
No, but it's the reason that.
Well, is it a good justification?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not a good justification, but it is the reason.
Okay, but is it a good justification? Do you want to be a person who does things without good justifications?
Considering what I've got 80 years on the planet, do I want to consider myself and spend X amount of hours consuming my time to researching, looking up different ways of eating, investing time?
You don't have to do that.
No, not really. Considering I've got.
You don't have to do that. It's really not hard. Like you literally just eat rice and beans and you're good.
But it's not as easy as what I'm currently doing.
No, it is, and you actually don't know because you're not willing to put the effort in to find that out.
I mean, like I said, it might be, but I doubt it.
You don't know that, right? Like you're justifying continuing to beat Sally because it might be harder not beating Sally, but you don't know if it'd be harder not beating Sally. You're just assuming it is, right? Which is pretty repugnant, right? No, they don't. No, they don't. Just because you don't see, right, beating like an innocent human being is equivalent to like paying for a pig to go in a gas chamber, that doesn't mean they're not the same. Like, what is the symmetry breaker between someone who literally like beats the shit out of an innocent being that doesn't want to suffer and someone who pays someone else to do it?
But I mean, what's the difference between those two beings or the action?
Why is it relevant? Like why? Like if I was wait. If I was to run you over with my car, right, or punch you in the face, right? The only symmetry breaker is one has caused more harm, but both are needless harm, right? right?
That's what I'm trying to say. It's the needless thing. It's not the harm. The harm is irrelevant. It's the needless bit.
Well, they're both needless.
Because you keep saying needless, so it, you know.
You're causing needless harm to innocent sentient beings that don't want to be harmed.
Okay,
right, which is the definition of cruelty, right? Like,
I think it's needless in the fact of like the techniques are very outdated.
no,
yeah.
no, no, no,
I
no,
think we
you,
can
no, no, no,
appreciate
you,
a
no, no,
lot
it's not.
better.
You don't need to eat animal products, right?
No, we've established this, but
Yeah, yeah. So it's needless.
So that is it. So it's just a case of you can survive without eating meat.
You can
End of.
thrive without eating meat, right? You can have like even if you couldn't have tasty food. Wait, even if you couldn't have tasty food, right? Even if all vegan food tasted like ash, right? Provided it gave you the same nutritional content,
Yeah, you don't need to eat meat.
you shouldn't harm animals, right? But the reality is that you can have a vegan
it's not
diet.
the
The
entire argument,
reality is that you can have a vegan diet, right? That is cheaper for you, better for you, right? Almost exactly the same taste and textures, right? Just slightly different, right? That is better for the planet, right? And does not brutalize animals, right? Right, that's the reality, right? It's literally a 1-for-1 where you can decide to just have the same thing that's better for everyone, including yourself and humans and animals, right?
I know, but it sounds like
or not. And you've decided that I would rather just continue doing needless, gratuitous harm to the planet, to your body, and to animals for really, really shitty reasons. Right? So how does that not make you an abominably like sort of repulsive, like disgusting, cruel person?
Jesus Christ, love, like, there's no need.
No, what? Like, it's a genuine question. If someone was literally killing the planet, right, killing themselves, and like brutally torturing animals, right, because they just couldn't be asked doing otherwise, how would you describe that person?
Exactly like you just did. Yeah.
Okay, so why are you okay being that person?
Like I said, I don't know. I'm not sure. That's a very good question.
Okay, then why don't you put the effort into like actually seeing if it's easy to not be that person?
I mean, I did when I was 18.
No, you didn't. You did it 18 years ago. That's
yeah,
that's 18 years ago.
18 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did it, man.
No, you didn't. You did it 18 years ago.
I contributed. That was my like little liberal stage, you know.
Yeah, I don't know why you find this funny.
I mean, it was quite a while ago. You are totally right. I will totally concede. I am probably ridiculously outdated with like the practices and stuff and what the industry actually.
And like a morally repugnant, disgusting person too, right? Like that's the concession as well, right?
But I don't know. You can take it as that, yeah. If
no, it is that, right? It is that.
That
is how you.
Of my entire being, sure. If it's a factor of my character, that that might be a different game, sure. But if you think it's my whole thing, then
no, I'm not. I'm saying in regards to your like consumption of animals, right? That is an accurate way to describe you, right?
Possibly.
No, not possibly.
In regards to
de facto.
I'm just trying to think what you said, and I'm just trying to debunk any of those slogans that you used. But nah.
So why don't you stop?
Yeah, position on meat. I think they'd be pretty apt.
Okay, so why don't you stop?
I did say laziness.
Is laziness a good is laziness a good justification for being like an abominable, cruel person?
No, but I did say this. No, not really.
Okay.
What about Vegan April? Do April. Finish out April. What's that like? Can you do 3 weeks vegan? Finish out April?
I probably could. Like I say, I've been, vegetarian. When I switched to being a vegetarian, it wasn't a tricky transition. You do find there's a lot of like good recipes out there when you actually start looking a little bit.
Awesome. Yeah. You going to?
I'm not at this stage of my life, no.
All right. What about?
I am genuinely trying to ask myself why. Like I'm not, but I don't know.
What about 1 week? How about next for 1 week?
That's the question. If not today, then when? Yeah. No, I get your point.
I don't think you do.
I mean, it's true.
I don't think you do get the point.
Oh right. Okay. No, I do get the point. It's a very, very valid point. I have said numerous times, Jazz, you've got a pretty solid argument.
Yeah.
I think you're just.
I have a question. I have a question. So.
I'm gonna think about it. It's a good point.
No, I have a question. So if we were talking about Sally again, right? Remember Sally?
Yeah.
Remember Sally? So if we were talking about Sally and this was your end position, right? You were like, oh, I'm too lazy. You've got a point. I probably should stop beating the shit out of Sally, but I'm just too lazy. What would you say to that person? What would you say to them?
Just keep it on eating animals, because I think we all understand.
No. What would you say to What would you say to a person who beat the shit out of their wife every day, right, for pleasure, right, knowing they didn't need to, knowing it was wrong, right? What would you say to them if their reasons for doing it and not changing was laziness?
I'd be like, well, that's unfortunate, bro. You're going to jail, and we're gonna kill.
No. There is no jail. There is no jail. There is no jail.
Well, we're gonna kill the shit out of him.
You'd threaten them with violence?
We'd probably just kill the shit out of him. Threaten him.
No, you can't. So you can't threaten them. You're on a Discord call. You can't threaten them.
Right, I don't know what I'd actually do, bro. This is why analogies are silly, but yeah, I'd be horrified at their actions. Yeah.
What would you advocate them to do if they couldn't stop beating Sally?
I don't know, put on some boxing gloves and get knuckle protection.
Would it be wrong to say maybe you should jump off a bridge if you can't stop yourself beating your wife?
Yeah.
Why would it be wrong?
Why?
Yeah. Why would it be wrong?
I just don't think anyone should be able to kill themselves.
But wait. So even if someone was beating the shit out of their wife every single day, and you knew they weren't going to stop for the rest of their life, you think it would be wrong?
The only thing I could do to get them to stop.
Why they've clearly said that they aren't willing to do it, right?
So if it's the only thing that can get them to stop, sure, then yeah, I would advocate that. I'd try and convince the guys to jump off a bridge, sure.
Well, we've just done that.
We've
done that, and they've just said, oh, they don't want to. They're too lazy.
Oh, well, it's what it is, then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not much I can do. I'm on a Discord call.
Yeah.
Who this person is, where they live, what. This is why. Yeah.
But would it be wrong? Would it be wrong to advocate for them to jump off a bridge?
I'd be trying to convince them to.
Oh no, you've already done that. And all they've said is they're too lazy. We've said, can you stop beating Sally for a week? Can you stop beating Sally for 2 weeks? Can you stop beating Sally just till the end of April? And they've said, no, I can't. I'm too lazy. I'll think about it, but I don't think so. I'm too lazy. Would it be wrong to advocate for them to jump off a bridge?
Possibly, yeah.
Why?
Possibly.
Why don't we care about Sally? Because Sally would prefer it if she stopped being beaten every single day for the rest of her life, right?
It's not really caring about Sally. It's more setting a precedent with the people that I might be advocating it to. So unless I can.
Well, no, but you in this case would be invested in Sally's well-being.
1 second. I'm telling you a possibility as to why it might not be great. So unless I'm a great communicator, a spokesperson, advocate, whatever, I might communicate the message wrongly. I might set a message into somebody's head that means when they look at future cases, they also advocate for similar tactics, which at the time don't make sense, but they've only got it because of the influence from me.
Well, no, but in this case,
no.
In this case, it's very clear that the person has very much understood the message, right? Is completely unwilling to do anything, and the reason that they're unwilling to do anything is because they're lazy. Right. So in this very specific case, right, if you actually cared about Sally's well-being, would it be fair to advocate this person to jump off a bridge?
If we could only advocate it to an audience that were going to take the same logic and apply it to only this case, then yeah, sure.
Okay.
There's no issues.
What's the symmetry breaker between this and Sally?
I've saying several times this is not a good analogy, bro.
Why not?
Just straight up.
The only reason it's not a good analogy is because you don't care as much about pigs as you care about humans, right? Right. The only difference is your social conditioning, right? But Sally, right, and the pig being forced in a gas chamber are both innocent victims that do not want to be harmed, right? That abjectly do not need to be harmed, and are both being abused by an oppressor, right? Who could
shit,
stop.
What you're saying. Okay. So yeah, it's social conditioning in the fact of I've got different acceptance levels for violence against different species.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially, that's where the social conditioning comes.
Yeah, because to me, right, someone beating their
I
wife
don't think that's social
and someone
conditioning.
putting a pig into a gas chamber are equally abhorrent actions. And I don't know whether the wife or the pig suffers more, because I've never been a pig, right? I don't understand, right, the sensory capacity and the emotional capacity and the intellectual capacity of being a pig. But from observable data about how pigs suffer when we put them in gas chambers, right, it's pretty indicative that their suffering is extreme, right?
Seems pretty human-like, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Same
Yeah,
with
so
the
what?
cows as well.
So what's
and
the
that sort of
difference?
shit, like,
So what's
very
the symmetry
human,
breaker?
very, very human.
Because I don't think there is
Again,
one.
It's not a societal indoctrination or anything, though. It's more of a what would you call it? Special thing.
It's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. Like species is irrelevant when it comes to the victim, right? The victim doesn't care if they're a dog or a human, right? The victim doesn't care if you're a dog or a human.
Care. No,
I'm not talking. I'm not talking about
perpetrator
you. I'm talking about the victim. I'm not talking about the perpetrator, right? The feelings of the perpetrator are irrelevant, right? We're talking about the victim, the being who is being needlessly, like viciously, sort of brutally abused, right? By the people you pay to abuse them, right?
I don't know.
And you keep appealing to you, right? You keep caring about you, right? If you were talking to the guy who's beating the shit out of Sally, would you care when he tells you about how it makes him feel? Right? Would you be like, oh, you know, I just really like the sensation on my knuckles when my fists bounce off her face. Right? I really like the echoing noises in my eardrums as she screams and cries on the floor. I just really enjoy like the taste of her blood when I bite her skin and suck until blood comes out. Right? Would you care about any of that, or would you just care about Sally?
I mean, if Sally's a pig, I don't give a fuck. But if Sally's a
Yeah.
human, I do care. This is what we're trying to
Yeah.
establish. You don't have to keep going back
So
to it. Like,
we
I
have
get the
established that you
analogy.
don't care about pigs.
I get the
So you
I
just
don't
you
care
just
about-
don't
I
care
don't
about
care-
pigs. So when you said earlier about
Why do you care so much about pigs?
He can't let me answer.
She can't let you answer.
Can't let me answer.
So when you said earlier that you think needless violence to animals is wrong, you actually think it's okay as long as they're pigs.
No, I don't. No, it's not. I've never said it. Needless violence towards animals is okay. I've said the real question is.
No, you
how
have.
much
You
of that
have.
needless
You
violence-
have said it's okay because you pay for it.
No, no.
No, you have. Paying for it.
No.
Paying for it.
During the conversation, I
Paying
said, well,
paying for the product is the admission that you think it's okay, right? If I pay for someone to beat the shit out of Sally, it does not matter what I say. I am okay with Sally being beaten, right? My words mean nothing, right? If I'm stood in front of you, beating the shit out of you with a bat, saying I'm really sorry, I love you, and I wish I wasn't doing this, my words mean nothing.
We get the examples.
I don't think you do.
Yes. I mean, in fairness, you are paying for Sally to be beaten too. You just do it less.
No, I don't do it needlessly. That's the difference.
Yeah, it's the need. I get what you're saying about the needless bit, but I have tried to establish several times I do not consider a pig and a human to be the same thing.
That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether they're equivalent, right? It matters that they suffer.
Why?
They suffer comparable amounts, right?
Yeah.
Needlessly, right? Because it does. If you right had the sensory capacity, if you had the sensory capacity, right, that was 10% of another human, so you could only feel pain to 10% of the capacity of another human, it still would not be okay to dose you in gasoline and set you on fire. I couldn't be like, well, they suffer less, so it's fine. That's a ridiculous statement.
I've tried to establish this is the difference between eating meat and the bad practices.
No.
They're not the same thing.
No, they are. No, yes, they are.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they are. If you pay for a product, right, that creates harm, you are responsible for the harm.
That's not what I just said. I said eating meat and needless harm to animals are not the same thing.
Yes, they are. You don't need to eat meat. Therefore, any harm incurred by buying meat products is needless harm to animals.
I got a question for you, Jess. Are you chill with
just
meat
out of the question? Yeah. Go on,
You
go on.
chill with me eating the flesh of the animals that are killed in defense of your crops? Are you chill with that?
Yeah. So when we talk about crop death on farms, right? That's the thing that we would like to reduce to as much as possible. But the animals that die on farms is like not an actual number that we know of, right? And it's vastly reported like to like completely different standards. But yeah, hypothetically, if for some reason you were able to like get the dead animals that have accidentally been killed by combine harvesters, I'd be okay with you eating them. I would advocate though that I would advocate though that we stopped these animals dying by harvesters. I would advocate that to whatever degree we're capable, we should reduce animal suffering in crop farming. And it's also worth mentioning that this is often brought up as like a gotcha to vegans, because obviously when you buy any food, some sort of insects or animals die in the production. But animal products that we eat are fed crops too. So by eating animal products, you increase the amount of farmland.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I haven't
So
paid
just to
for food
clarify
in
then.
like 3 years. So no, I was more referring to like the animals caught in snares or shot. I'm not really
I don't think we should
interested in eating rodents or bugs.
I'm against that. I don't think we should do that.
What you're saying, Jess?
But I
is
mean, we have
the
to.
methodology.
Currently, that
No,
is
wait.
the way we protect certain crops.
Wait. So we don't have to like in the long term, right? It might be the thing that is currently done, but we currently farm 37% of all farmed crops on this planet are fed to animals, which means 37% of all agricultural land, at least what's the fucking word for growing fucking crops? Arable. 37% of all arable farmland is given it's sort of to animal crop production, right? If we didn't need to do that, we would reduce the amount of arable land that we needed by 37%, and also the amount of grazing land that we currently have could also be freed up for crop farming, which means we could use less aggressive farm practices, right? We wouldn't need to cull animals to defend crops if we didn't have such like a requirement for like efficient farming, right? Quote unquote efficient farming.
So I got another question for you. Would you, in your ideal world, would you prefer banning the consumption of meat or banning the sale of meat?
So this is like a weird like, would I have issues with people eating roadkill? Now I don't necessarily have an issue with people eating roadkill. I think I don't necessarily even really mind people killing animals. I think in some cases there are justifications for killing animals. I just think like the way that you kill them and the reasons for which you kill them are like really important, right? So like obviously euthanizing animals that are currently suffering, I have no issue with that. I have no issue with like sort of intervention for the purpose of like reducing suffering in a given ecosystem, provided that we do so with like all the necessary data to not fuck it up. But yeah, I mostly care about the suffering of animals rather than the death of animals.
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to gauge on where your end goal is. But like if the end goal is like banning the sales of animal products, I'm okay with that. But I
would also like to
prefer
ban the hunting of animals.
Well, that might get tricky until we can figure out how to produce plants without the risk of predation from animals.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. Right? I agree with you. Obviously, if I think it's worth interjecting that, like, I believe that survival ethics are separate to like normal ethics. So, for example, if in order to like maintain like food security for our planet and not have like lots of people starve to death, people need to kill animals. Then that's a very difficult, like, that's a very different ethical question to like someone going out and shooting animal because they want to eat them, right?
Yeah.
Do you only eat roadkill, or do you hunt, or do you buy animal products? I think you said you didn't buy animal products.
I haven't bought groceries in general in like almost 3 years.
Okay.
Other than like spices.
Okay.
But you gotta fucking bury some of this stuff in spices to make it taste good.
Okay, but do you shoot like wild animals for food, or do you just find roadkill?
No, I will do some fishing if it's necessary.
Okay. And do you think you could subsist without doing that?
In my current setup, no.
Do you think
I can get lucky sometimes? Like, you know, if I'm driving and I spot a deer on the side of the road that wasn't there the day before, well, then I'm straight for that winter.
Do you not think it would be more ethical if instead of like occasionally fishing, you occasionally bought some beans?
Well, I mean, well, that depends, because am I going to measure the 50 lives lost or 50 lives or 50 individuals suffering to the millions to trillions, depending on which study you're looking at, suffered in the production of those beans?
Well, no, because it would only be in the production of the beans that you're consuming, right? And I think it's very ridiculous to say that billions of animals are dying in the production of like a couple of months worth of beans. I would imagine
I mean, it all depends on which side of the aisle the study's coming from.
There's literally like have you seen the funny YouTube video where the guy lies down in front of his own combine harvester and lets it run him over?
No.
There's a video of a guy lying in front of his own combine harvester, and then the combine harvester drives over him. I would look it up.
That's like a snuff video?
No, he lives. Obviously, he lives. Nothing
Oh,
happens to him.
okay.
And it sort of proves this idea that combine harvesters don't kill small rodents. But there are animals that obviously are killed in farming. Obviously, there's pesticides that kills bugs. There is some amount of like bird shootage, I believe.
Bro, do you really care about bugs, bro?
I'm not saying. I'm saying
that I'm trying to not pesticides thing. You have to consider the second-hand poisoning to
bugs,
other
just
animals
put the
that
fries
eat
in the
bugs.
You do
You
realize
care about bugs, bro? Just put the fries in the bag.
You
bro.
do realize that we now have evidence to show that bees like play, right? They have like an actual sort of instinctive drive to
Bro,
like
I
play.
don't care. I'll still clap them with my hands if they annoy me.
Well, I could say the same about children, but that wouldn't make it moral.
It's just a dick move, though, bro. Clapping it with your
No, bro, but like the thing
I
is,
could
if
say
you would've said
I
children-
don't care if children like to play. I still punch them in the face if they get too close. That's not an ethical argument. That's just you being a cunt.
Yeah, I know, but you go to prison for that. I don't go.
That's
to prison
irrelevant.
For killing
That's
bees.
irrelevant.
So, like,
whether or not you would
suck
go
it
to
up.
prison or not doesn't matter, right? Like just because I'm in Saudi Arabia for the weekend doesn't make it moral to fuck kids.
I don't think comparing everything to humans all the time is going to.
So if you don't like the analogies, that are logically consistent and are clearly there to show you how, if you don't like the analogies that are human comparisons and are clearly there to highlight that your logic is ridiculously inconsistent and would justify really fucking shitty things if it was applied logically consistently, if you don't like that, I don't know what to say, dude. But the point is not to say that it's equivalent to humans. It's to point out how stupid your logic is.
Okay, look, just because your analogy is technically logically sound doesn't make it a good analogy.
Oh, no,
For
it does.
example, lots of vegans like making slavery analogies about animals being eaten, and you're not going to convince anyone with that. You're actually going to hurt
That's not true.
your own argument.
That's not true. So you've just
Because
made
you seem ridiculous.
you've just made a statement, right? You just made a zero-sum statement, right? When I've literally convinced people to go vegan with the slavery argument. So like, clearly not true that I'm going to convince no one, because I literally have convinced someone. So your statement is unfounded and ridiculous.
Who have you convinced? You ain't even convincing yourself, bro.
Wait, I'm not convincing myself to be vegan? Do you think I'm not vegan?
I don't know. You might be.
Needs help.
Benji, have you consumed alcohol this morning? Because it feels like I'm talking to a drunk.
No.
Okay, maybe you should potentially get something checked out then. Your body might just be naturally producing alcohol somehow.
Jess, do you have mod here?
No, I don't, unfortunately.
Hey, that's actually a thing.
Well, I have mod, which is why I
actually a
asked,
condition
because
that,
I can just mute people for you, Jess.
If you'd like to mute
wheat
people, you're welcome to
products.
do so.
It's an actual condition where wheat products ferment in the gut, and
I know. That's
you
why I
get
brought
drunk
up.
from yeah.
Yeah, I'm a funny girl. I'm a funny girl who makes funny jokes.
But no, like for real. So like you don't have anything against like a freeganism lifestyle.
No, I think as long as you don't
like
promote
not paying for food.
I think obviously if you took your roadkill, right, and you put it in like a burger.
Well, I mean, I live in the middle of fucking
I
nowhere.
know.
I socialize online.
I'm giving you the hypothetical. So if you took your roadkill and you put it in like a burger bun, and you went and sat in like the middle of a busy street, right, like next to like a burger bar, right, and just ate it there, and people thought, ooh, that looks tasty, I'm gonna go to the burger bar, right? Obviously that would be bad, right? But yeah, if you're just dumpster diving and eating trash in private, I have no issues. I don't give a fuck.
Well, and I grow my food too.
Yeah.
Like I have to say, like I've got some of the best pickles you'd ever have.
Yeah. Like I'll walk down the street and I'll see like bags of like crisps lying on the floor, like in the street, and I'll literally think to myself, it would not be unethical to eat those, even though they're animal products. And I consider whether or not I'm like hungry enough that I would, and every single time I go, no, but if I was homeless, I'd eat these fucking things. Because like that's how ethics works, right? It's about why you do things, not just the action.
Right, anyway, I'm going to disappear, but yeah, Jess, good points. Solid argument. I'll take it on board. Very.
Why don't you go be vegan? Right, that is how you take things on board, by changing your actions.
Honestly, love it, mate. It's just not happening today.
Well, then you didn't take it on board. They weren't good points.
No, I
you
am
don't
gonna go
care.
consider it. No.
No.
Shit just takes some time to digest.
Man,
that's all.
don't go vegan. You will destroy your body. Don't. For your own health.
Like people aren't destroying their bodies already with the shit they eat.
Shit just takes time to digest. That's all. So when I say I'm gonna think about it, I genuinely mean it. But
you're gonna shit bricks if you go vegan.
I love people who like, oh, thank you for the conversation. You've given me so much to think about. I'm going to go and rape dogs now, but I'll think about not raping dogs. I'll think about not doing it.
Do you think just because you said something we have to do it?
No, I think if someone says to you, your argument is entirely like right, and I know I'm wrong, and when he literally said, yeah, I am a disgustingly sort of repugnant person, like I think if you admit you're a disgustingly repugnant person and you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, and then you continue to do it, then yeah, no, I think that's a pretty good sign that someone is like disingenuous and like a sack of shit, right? It's when religious people come up to you and all they want you to do is shake their hand. They're like, please shake my hand. Just shake my hand. They just want an affirmation that what they're doing is okay, and it's not. Right? What they're doing is not okay.
Are you any different?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm pretty different.
Oh,
what?
Everybody's to blame except you, I guess.
What kind of question is that? Have you proven Jess wrong about something?
I mean, he's just preaching that. Yeah, eating roadkill is the only way we should eat animals.
I know you can have lab grown meat. No, you can have lab grown meat. Lab grown meat is fine.
That pillar.
Her.
Why you say that like it's a bad thing?
You can't just go no. You can't just go no.
The only way
you have to actually.
We could eat animals is eating roadkill.
No, but you say roadkill like it's a bad thing. You know,
it's a bad thing eating fucking roadkill.
Why? Why is it
contaminated and shit? Yeah, it is. What?
Why is it a bad thing to eat roadkill?
Because all the meat has been splattered on the ground.
No, we're talking morality, my darling. We're talking morality. Why is it morally?
I'm not your darling.
Why is it morally bad to eat roadkill?
I mean, morally, I guess you're right. I guess
wonderful. So when we're having
but it's disgusting.
It's irrelevant. We're having
whoa.
We're having a moral discussion, right? So we're only concerned with morality, right? Do you understand?
Maybe not.
I mean, okay, I guess you enjoy your roadkill.
See, it's not bad for me. I live in a really cold climate, and I'm really only eating animal products during the winter.
Where are you from?
Canada.
Dude, I'm in Canada. Like, it's not that cold.
Yeah,
here,
dude.
man.
Like, huh?
He said he only eats animal products during the winter, right? So it's pretty cold in winter in Canada.
Yeah, dude, like, I don't know where you're at, but my average winter temperature is like -20.
I'm in Toronto.
Well, you're pretty low down there, so okay. I wouldn't fucking eat roadkill from the city either. Like, that's
Why not, dude? That's what you should do. It's
well, I don't
morally
live in the
correct,
city.
remember?
Wait, no, it's morally it's morally preferable to be plant-based, right, or to be vegan, right? But there are some cases where you can ethically consume like animal flesh, right? But it doesn't mean it's morally preferable to eat animal flesh, right?
Okay.
There is no obligation to eat animal flesh.
It's like neutral, right?
Yeah.
And it's still like negative utility to normalize it. Like you wouldn't want to have a world where like people are like, I don't know, hoping to get in an accident so they can eat some deer or something.
Yeah, like driving down the road,
really
rubbing their
jumping at
hands
the
together,
chance
you
of
know?
Yeah, that people aren't jumping at the chance to eat roadkill. Just take Michael for an example. Like, oh, bro, you ate roadkill?
Yeah, I
Well,
would
the thing-
I would prefer if I went to someone's house that they didn't feed me roadkill, you know? But I wouldn't be like, yo, you can't be my friend because you eat roadkill, you know? I'd come to your house and I'd be like,
I mean,
okay,
it's
so
not bad.
Well, yeah, I understand that, right? But like, it's the same way. Like, if I knew that my friend really, really, really liked spicy food, before I went to their house, I'd be like, hey, can we have something that's not super spicy, please? Right? And I think that's a reasonable request, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
There you go.
And like, I mean, based off of, you know, previous conversations we've had, like, because, you know, I still currently buy my cat food, but I am in the future going to start processing my own cat food.
Oh, you're that guy. Okay, I remember talking to you.
Yeah, I'm that guy.
You're that guy.
Vegan cat food?
No. Apparently.
No, not vegan cat food.
Apparently, roadkill.
Oh, animals can eat animals, but we cannot eat animals?
No. Wait, no. We shouldn't feed our animals animal.
What did you say?
We shouldn't feed our animals animals.
Oh. Why not?
Why would
I mean,
you?
we won't agree on this because you are in favor of the annihilation of predatory animals. So
yeah,
Wait,
we don't need to get
no.
into that.
Wait. I'm not in favor of the annihilation of predatory animals, right? Because domestic cats are what you would consider presumably predatory animals, right?
The best predatory animal.
I mean,
No. I'm talking
yeah, they're little psychopaths.
Yeah. So I'm completely okay with those animals being kept indoors so they can't hunt and fed vegan food, fed plant-based food.
What? Okay, so now you're
right? So that's not an annihilation, right?
Yeah. So the
food,
vegan food thing for cats, it's.
No,
I mean,
that's
for
domestic.
every one
no, that's
article
animal abuse. In my
that says it's okay, there's 10 articles explaining why it's not okay.
But that's irrelevant.
Now,
wait.
for the
wait.
it seems pretty conclusive that it's okay.
But that's irrelevant, right? Like when you say it says it's not okay, what you mean is it might not be equally nutritionally, like sort of equally nutritional, right? It doesn't mean it kills them, right? It doesn't mean that they eat it and they die tomorrow, right? And then
they don't die tomorrow, but it does shorten their life, and it can cause all kinds of medical
But that's
problems,
irrelevant.
From kidney failure,
renal
failure.
Wait. But that's irrelevant, right? Because I could ask you the question. Okay, well let's say that we discovered that your cat could live 10 years longer if you fed them dead human babies. Would you feed your cat dead human babies?
Bro, what the fuck are you saying?
I mean, you already know where I stand when it's a baby that's not connected to anyone and there's no repercussions.
Oh no, they would. We would have to like domestically farm human women, right? Take their babies and put their babies in gas chambers.
Bro, you're comparing like
Michael
Myers, and cow.
Michael Myers, if you want to like have like a moral like sort of like meltdown, you can do it without like having your mic activate. Right. So
you would agree that you wouldn't factory farm humans and gas chamber babies to make your cat live 10 years longer, right? Right? Dandy?
Out of their own nature, even educated cats.
Jesus, can we mute this person briefly whilst they have like a moral like crisis? Just like briefly.
Yeah.
Humans, just
Wait,
Okay,
Michael,
wonderful.
Michael,
Wonderful.
relax.
Right. So, can we agree that if the choice to make your cat live 10 years longer was to factory farm like human women and gas chamber their babies, you wouldn't do that, right?
No, we've already had this conversation. That's
I just
why
for
you
the
know,
for the for the
I'm
sake
gonna
of like
start producing
wait
my own
for the
cat
sake
food.
for the sake of other people in the room, can you just say no? Obviously not.
Oh yeah, no.
Obviously not, right? So
And it's
it doesn't necessarily follow that just because something would make your cat live longer, you ought to do it, right? If it's morally repugnant, then we shouldn't do it, right?
yeah, but like, I mean, why subject my cat to that potential suffering when
Then we should kill the
I
babies.
can
Then we should feed the
produce
babies.
my own food for him?
Yeah,
that
but
does not subject him to
yeah,
additional suffering.
but we're not talking about that, right? So in this case, roadkill-based fat cat food would be plant-based, right? I know it's not plant-based, but it
Well,
would be
then we
it would be
agree.
ethically
If-
balanced. Yeah,
then we agree.
I'm just for the purpose of the
Yeah.
room. I'm trying to get you to say the thing so that I can make the
Oh
point.
yeah, I got you.
Yeah. But yeah, the point is like if just because there are like positive outcomes, like for your health, that doesn't make it okay to do stuff, right? Like I could live longer, potentially by doing really abhorrent things, but that wouldn't make it morally okay to do those abhorrent things. You know. You can unmute Michael if you want.
Okay.
Should I tell him
Yeah,
about how I would eat a baby instead of walking 10 miles for a carrot?
Oh boy, was that you too?
Yo, Jez, do you have any animals at home? Any
Yeah,
pets?
I have a dog.
Have you taken? I mean, this is like a dumb question. I'm sure you have, but have you taken your dog to the vet? And what did they say about like?
They said he's
his health?
They said he's perfectly healthy.
Yeah, I figured.
And even if they didn't, I would still
Yeah,
feed him the diet I give him. Like, unless like I literally saw like some sort of like negative outcomes, I would. Why would I ever do?
Is it bad that I probably wouldn't like if I gave my cat vegan diet and then I took her to the vet and they were like, bro, this isn't working. You gotta put him back on me. I probably would just because I love my cat.
Would you do it even if you didn't see like your own like even if you couldn't see effects, you'd just listen to the vet? What if the vet didn't even do any
I
tests?
might get a second opinion, get a different vet to give me a second opinion. But if they both said, yeah, like if it seemed pretty conclusive, even though my cat seemed fine, I'd probably trust the vet over my own observation.
And even if what if they said like, oh yeah, so unfortunately your cat seems really ill. We need you to go find a baby and kill them and feed them to your cat. Would you go out and kill the baby?
Yeah.
You would?
No, I mean no, I wouldn't. Yeah.
And what's the difference? Like, what if wait? What if they said unfortunately the only way that your cat can like have a healthy diet is if we feed your cat other cats, right? And unfortunately, our other customer is richer than you, so we're gonna feed your cat to their cat, right? So your cat who you love is gonna get fed to another cat. How would you feel about that?
I would feel pretty bad. I'm glad I don't live in that world.
Right.
With the babies thing, I feel like with the babies thing, it's just kind of easy because it's like I value humans more than animals, and you've talked about before how that doesn't really contradict, but
I think it does if like the positive utility isn't enough, right? If like, because like I value like vegans more than non-vegans, right? But I wouldn't like kill a non-vegan in order to like dye my hair, right? I wouldn't be like, oh, finding permanent like pink hair dye is really difficult. But I've heard that non-vegan blood is a really good source of hair dye, so I'm just gonna go out with a hammer and kill a non-vegan.
Orange.
That's
Man.
different though, because it's like my cat's health versus like an aesthetic.
Okay.
Yes, I have a genuine question. Do you
Michael.
value non-vegan lives more than vegan lives?
I literally just said
She
that.
literally just said that.
Yeah, I just want confirmation.
Literally just said they did.
That's
Bro, when vegans say that, it's like, do you value good people more than bad people? Like that.
I also value
You want to
non-rapists
hear my
more than
response?
rapists.
Do you want to hear my response?
Sure. Why is it relevant?
Every person has value.
Has what?
Everyone. Every person has value.
Yeah, but
Maybe
some people.
some
Wait.
value.
Wait. Every person has value, but not all that value is equal, and some people's value is negative.
No,
well, no. Hold on a second. No. I think it's better to say that sure, everybody may have some positive value, but the net contribution to their world is not necessarily positive.
Who dictates that?
You? In my perspective, me.
Society dictates that.
No,
like,
I
the
disagree.
same way that society dictates if a criminal, right, somebody who's like, I don't know, engages in violent assault, goes to court, and then the court decides. That who decides? That's a society within that court, like a jury.
That's illegal. I think you
So
decide. You
the
implicitly
laws that
decide.
we applied 50 years ago, they should apply now, right? They were still people.
Why do you
right?
bring up the legal system?
Or no?
Well, the idea is that laws should change in accordance with the values of people, right? So people's values change, and the laws should reflect that. So they should also change.
So laws from 50 years ago are
fucking hate Kirby,
worse than the
Kirby
ones
has
from
no
today?
ability not to
Worse.
fucking talk.
If you take one society in particular, 50 years ago, the laws of that society were, in how we would understand it,
Poop.
very bad.
Right, I've done this. I've been here the whole time, and I've not fucking sent a
If that
single
society
email.
was happy
so
with their
I'm gonna
rules,
try and do that.
who are we to judge? We're just
I'm gonna let you
different
listen
kinds
to
of
the
persons,
society,
right?
bro.
Well, but were they happy?
Well,
with
like
those
try and
rules?
send a
That's
fucking
the
email.
question, right? Like imagine a society
Yeah,
with slavery.
because they had them.
Ugh.
If you vote for a law, it's because you like it, right? And those
So
people
how do you know
voted
that
for those
society
laws.
even voted for that law in the first place? What if they themselves inherited from an even
Right,
older
how do I do
society?
this? I need to fucking turn
Then
this
that
shitty
older
thing
society liked those
into.
rules.
Alright, let's
Yeah,
just save this.
but you can't say that the society as a whole liked it. Maybe a particular part of that society liked it, but then a different part didn't like it. Right? I mean,
but you just said, but you guys just said that we judge based on society, right? So yes, society is a majority, not a minority.
We don't judge based on society. I'm saying that society is what does the judging. I'm not saying
that's not true.
Look, let's make it very, very clear.
We're talking about morality. When we're talking about morality, we don't use societal judgments to decide what is and isn't right.
You just said that.
I know, but Kirby's an idiot. Kirby didn't understand what they were saying when they said it.
I'm saying that in a practical sense, it's society that judges people. But that doesn't mean that our judgments should be based on simply what society wants or advocates for.
So if you wanted to ban abortion, should we not ban it? Because I don't want to get it banned.
Well, now you're introducing the idea of democracy, right? Which is that it has to be like a majority of people, or at the very least a plurality, in order to make changes to law.
But you just said that maybe not everyone.
Dude, can I eat that cat? I'm so hungry.
You said not everyone what? Like, do you expect to live in a society where
Ty's never on camera.
everybody's in
It's nice to see Ty on camera.
Of course, there's going to be disagreements in society.
I never said that. You said that. No, you said that it doesn't matter what the majority wants because it's not everyone. That's what I brought up, the old laws, and you just said, well, maybe not everybody agreed with those laws.
Okay, so again, like your assumption here is that every society throughout history has always been directly like their laws have been directly represented by the will of the people. I mean, have been directly representative of the will of the people. That's not been the case, right? Just a basic examination of history should make that clear. Do you dispute that?
When Abraham Lincoln was elected, that just means by your norm that it may or may not be the will of the people to abolish slavery.
Hold on. Do you know what percentage of the vote Abraham Lincoln got? He didn't get a majority.
I'm just saying I don't know American history. I'm just saying like.
Well, tell me what country's history do you know?
I mean, I think I know mine. But
okay,
when you
the point is that look, if you go back far enough, eventually you'll get to the point where your society almost certainly did not have a democratic form of government, and it was a small group of people that were writing the laws, and they didn't get feedback from the public. Okay? Right? So no matter what society you choose, eventually you're going to get to a point where there was a point in time in that country's history or society's history where lawmakers were not representative of the majority, but they still made laws.
Like?
Well, you have to give me I gave the example of the United States. For example, in 1954, right, there was a Supreme Court case, Brown versus Board of Education. That was actually the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, right? The law that the Supreme Court of the United States overturned was a law from the 19th century in Kansas, okay? Now you can say that, oh, well, 19th century Kansas had some kind of consensus to pass that law. Fine, but that consensus didn't exist anymore in the 20th century.
So you're kind of just proving my
and
point.
The law was segregation in schools. That's what we're talking. That's what I'm talking about here. Like again, I don't even understand your point. Like, what are you trying? What is your point? Go
Should
ahead.
I do TV?
I'm just saying that
instead of this
just
fucking
because
shit.
the majority wants something, it doesn't mean that it should. Just because you said that, because this guy said,
I agree.
yeah, because
I 100% agree.
then why
but
the
then
fuck are we arguing? Because
Okay.
Jess said no, because I think this and this is the most morally correct. Everybody should do this.
No,
that's what he has been arguing for.
No,
Like
I
30
literally never.
minutes.
I literally never said that. Literally not once.
You're implying it.
No, I literally have never
You're
implied
saying
that.
if you hit X person every day, they should jump off a bridge.
Michael Myers.
Said,
Michael Myers.
Yeah,
Mr.
This guy
Mr.
agreed
Myers.
with me,
Mr.
but
Myers.
then he didn't want to do
Mr.
what
Myers.
I said.
Mr. Myers. Mr. Myers. At no point did I ever tell this person what my position was. I only asked them questions about what their position was. And yes, I did ask leading questions, which might imply what my position is. But I never actually told them what they ought to do based on my position. I only asked them questions about what their position was, and then implied that they ought to follow their own position. Otherwise, in their own opinion, they would be a bad person because they were clearly going against, with their actions, their own ethical position, which would, by their own fucking logic, make them a bad person. I literally, you have no idea what my political position is, right? I could be a fucking Nazi who thinks it's okay to rape children because I never tell you, right? I never tell you what my position is.
But regardless, if your point is that sometimes the majority of people are wrong, yeah, that's obviously true.
Yeah.
But then there's a question of how do you build a society in a practical way that at the same time avoids the issue of sometimes the majority of people being wrong?
Don't listen to the majority.
We're not saying you should listen to the majority.
Right. The point is that for your morality, for your ethics, you shouldn't simply look at what the majority wants. There are for me at least, and I'm speaking from my own opinion, not anyone else's right now, is that for me there are aspects of morality that are fundamental, that are so fundamental that it doesn't matter if a majority or minority or one person or a million person believes it. You have to look at the fact of the matter and see what's true, okay? And not simply go by what any number of people believe, whether that's minority or majority.
Yeah, so you're bringing that only we shouldn't have universal like elections. We should have restrained elections.
What the fuck,
So
dude?
again, you're going back and forth between like what I was talking about, which is like in an abstract sense, and then now you're talking about like application, like applied morality, which is how we should run our society. So, to be honest, I don't know the exact answer to your question. I don't know the best, most efficient way to run a society, whether, what kind of elections to have, right? But the point is that's not even relevant to what we're talking about right now.
Okay. I think I can agree with you.
Can I ask you a question?
Maybe we've gone on a tangent a little
Do you
bit.
think we should allow people who I don't know. Do you think we should allow no, never mind. I'm not gonna answer the question. I'm not gonna ask the question.
Say it.
No, I don't want to ask the question.
My general
Say it. I don't mind it.
No, I don't want
Let
to
me
ask
put
the
it this
question.
way. Let me put this way. Like my general like inclination is that I want people's preferences to be satisfied.
Whose people preferences?
Well, not just people, but just sentient beings in general, actually, right? However, sometimes their preferences contradict each other, and so we have to make a choice as to who we prioritize. Right? Like Nazis have the preference to, genocide Jews. It's like, should I value that preference? I'm going to say no. Why? Because Jews are sentient beings, and they should have their preferences to not be genocided, not be put in gas chambers or
So are
concentration
Nazis.
camps. What?
So are Nazis. Nazis are also sentient beings. Right?
Yes, but so like I said,
I disagree. Nazis aren't sentient.
So like I said, my inclination is that I want people's preferences to be satisfied. However, it does seem like because there are contradictory preferences that conflict with one another, I can't do that for everybody, so I have to prioritize. And the way I
I'm finally doing it,
prioritize
team.
is
I'm sat
that
here
I focus
copy
on
and pasting
preferences
all
that
my fucking
maximize
emails
happiness.
into my compose bar and sending
Okay,
a billion
so the
emails.
Nazis
I've
are
done
not
it.
trying to maximize happiness.
I've sent all the
because they want
emails. I've
to
done my press
cause,
releases. Let's fucking
violence and
go.
death and mass killing and all kinds of other things.
They just say that the Nazis want their country safe, their country
Jesus
economically
Christ.
prosper,
Are we
the
making
country not
apologists?
submitted to any other nation.
Jesus
You would say
Christ.
that those isolated concepts are good, right? A safe country, prosper, and all that. That's great. But
No,
I
this
think
is dumb, man.
I
This is
think
really
you're
really dumb.
mistakenly.
Are we
I
doing
think you're mistaken
apologists for like
with
Nazis now? That's kind of.
But the point
I'm
is
not.
that
I'm just saying an example.
Well, hold on. So you support Nazis? Is that what you're trying to say, basically?
No, he's
No,
not.
stop all it.
no,
No.
I don't think he's making that point. Look, if you wanna be like, yes, in the abstract, Nazis can have goals that are admirable. Sure, I'm not too concerned about the goals. I'm concerned with the methods, how they want to do those things.
Exactly.
And in my calculation, how they want to do
So
those
hot,
things
dude.
is going to
So fucking
cause
hot.
mass misery and suffering for
Heat wise.
humans and
Not
for all
like
kinds of other
fuckable
sentient
wise.
beings too.
Although fuckable wise too, you know. I can't believe
So
it's
you
half
believe that
6.
there's
And like I've
a
struggled to do
limitation
anything useful.
to free will,
But I'm doing it,
something
team.
like that,
I'm doing the thing.
to liberty. That's what I meant to
Oh
say.
shit.
There's a limitation to liberty, right? Like your
I'm not
liberties
sure
end
what you
where
mean
minds
by that.
end.
You'll have to define your terms because obviously we are
Like,
mortal human
yeah.
beings with physical limitations. So
Yeah,
yes, we
Just
have
fucking
limits
talking to the
our
YouTube
ability
stream.
to do stuff.
But I meant to say like liberties, like
It's funny as fuck.
my liberties
I just
end
saw that into the
where,
chat
where
room.
yours start, right? Do you agree with that?
Bro.
That if I interfere
I'm
in
such an
your
idiot.
liberties, mine should be restricted at that point?
That's funny as fuck though.
I'm not I'm not too sure about that because the assumption here is that
Do I want to listen to the Nazi debate, or do I want to go elsewhere?
everybody's liberty is individualized, and
else
I'm
can we
not sure
go?
I agree with that. I think there are collective liberties in addition to individual liberties. So there may be some cases where, you know, two
Kirby just
people
can't
understood their
not
liberty is
engage with
shared,
like dumb
and the
things.
fact that one of them has liberty
Kirby
is
vegan?
dependent on the other one having liberty.
He's vegan apparently.
But I don't like I don't dismiss it out of hand. I think that it's a good formulation, but I'm not. Again, I have to see where you want to go with it.
I'm
Can
just trying
we-
to understand your standpoint.
Can we move to veganism with people in the room who haven't talked about veganism before, like Vulcan?
Yeah, I was gonna say like we're getting into like politics
Yeah.
and
Dude,
discussions of
I'm
political
not a vegan.
philosophy. So
I respect.
I mean, I enjoy that conversation, but let's
Yeah,
keep
it
to
was nice.
animal ethics.
Yeah, thank you for being respectful. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for also being respectful.
Hey Vulcan, you here, buddy?
Yeah, dude, I'm not a vegan and I cannot live without eating egg or drinking milk. But I respect the mindset of vegan and the philosophy behind that.
Wait. You said you can't exist without eating egg. Like, can you
No,
substantiate that?
I'll be so unhappy. I will be so unhappy.
Wait. What if I use that justification to kick dogs? If I was so unhappy without kicking dogs, would that make it okay to do so?
Yeah, okay. Do you eat cake?
No, I'm saying, would it be okay for me to kick dogs if it would make me unhappy if I didn't?
Yeah,
It would? It would
I
be
guess
okay
so.
to kick dogs?
Yeah.
Would it be okay to rape
Because
dogs if it made me unhappy if I didn't?
yeah,
It would? Would it make it okay to rape children if I was unhappy if I didn't?
no, don't
Why not?
exaggerate.
Wait, why not?
Because what you do is whataboutism and it's so exaggerated.
It's not whataboutism. It's not whataboutism. It's literally I'm testing the moral consistency of your argument.
Raping children, okay?
I'm testing the moral consistency of your argument. Whataboutism is a very different thing. So why would it be wrong? Wait. Why would it be wrong, right, to use pleasure as a justification to abuse children? Also, you literally said, "Do you eat cake?" which is presumably an appeal to like spot if I am vegan and I accidentally eat eggs. And no, I don't. But that is literally whataboutism. The thing that you accused me of doing is literally the thing that you did. So, like, I just want to point out the irony of that statement. So, why is it wrong? Why is it wrong to use pleasure as a justification to abuse children?
Okay, it's not a pleasure. It's a habituary since I was born. Okay. It's
Okay, if
not
I
easy
grew
to
up,
let
right,
go.
if I grew up habitually abusing children, would that be a good justification to continue?
Okay, you didn't.
No, if I
grow
did,
like that
if I did,
because,
if I
you
did,
cannot
if I did, would it be okay?
abuse children when you were 3 years old.
Because
Okay?
I did grow up eating. I did grow up eating meat my whole life. I ate meat for 28 years and I managed to stop.
Don't act like you're out of your mind, okay?
Wilcon,
Speak
what you're describing sounds like an addiction, right? It sounds like substance abuse, like that you can't live without it. Do you
Yeah,
recognize that?
Yeah, everything is substance, you know. We are addicted.
No, and no. I mean, obviously, right? But there are some things that we genuinely can't live without, like oxygen, clean water. Like those things we generally can't live without. But things
Yeah.
like cigarettes or alcohol or eggs, that stuff is extra. We don't need those, right? And if you really feel that you cannot live without those things, that's an addiction.
Yeah, kinda.
Because think, what is it in eggs that your body absolutely needs? There's nothing in eggs that your body absolutely needs that you can get from nowhere else, right?
No.
I've been vegan for over a decade, for over 10 years, and I haven't eaten any eggs. But
Okay,
I'm not
what?
dead, and I have my blood work once a year. I talk to my doctor, and she tells me you're very healthy. So
Okay, but it's
and
your
millions of people around the world do the same thing. They don't eat eggs, so it's not necessary to eat eggs to live, to flourish, to be a human, right? So if you think that you do, that you actually do, that's like addiction, psychological addiction, where you falsely believe that you need these things to survive, but you don't.
okay, but this is your lifestyle. Okay, you don't have the right to interfere in other people's lives, and this is
Whoa, whoa,
wrong.
whoa, whoa, whoa!
And you don't have
Wait, wait, wait,
to
wait, 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 wait.
interfere.
Hang on a minute, hang on a minute. If we were walking down the street together, right, and I
No, we are
stopped.
not together.
No, no,
Okay,
no.
you are a different person, and I am a different
If
person. We
me
are
and
completely
you,
different.
if me and you were walking down the street together, and I stopped to kick the shit out of a dog, would you ask me to stop?
Appeal to emotions.
Yeah,
You
but it's
would.
not the same
Wait,
thing.
wait, 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 wait. That is you telling me what to do. So if you would tell
No,
me what to do in that situation, there is no difference
I
to a
say stop
vegan
it.
asking
But
you
if you are
to not eat animals.
okay, okay, don't say someone who's eating eggs stop to eat it, or you're gonna beat it out. Okay, it's wrong.
Wait, what?
Don't interrupt people.
Wait, what if in order to produce eggs we had to kick dogs? Would you stop eating eggs?
Okay,
No.
don't uh, don't press people. Okay,
Why
this is
not?
your
Wait, 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 wait,
right
wait,
and
wait, 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 wait,
respect.
wait, wait. If we were walking, wait,
What
wait.
do
If we
you
were walking
want?
down the street and I stopped to kick a dog, right?
Okay,
And you
can you
said to
touch
me,
that?
"Don't
Okay.
kick that dog," right? And then I said to you, "Don't press people." I'm going to continue kicking this dog. It's wrong for you to tell me to stop kicking that dog. What would you say? Would you just be like, "Oh, okay, you're right. I won't tell you, and I'll move on"? Or would you be like, "No, no, hang on a minute. Stop kicking the dog, you fuck"?
Weighted argument.
Do you see how
Appeal
blatantly
to
hypocritical you
emotions.
are when
Once
we're talking
again.
about dogs?
Do you have any other
Michael,
arguments?
can we mute
Jess?
Michael? Because like Michael's making stupid like criticisms, like all fucking
I mean,
moral,
You're
all
not
moral
saying
argument,
anything
all,
productive. You're just saying
all,
kicking dogs,
all
killing
moral
babies, killing
arguments
dogs.
are an appeal to emotion. Everything to do with morality is an appeal to emotion, right? Asking people
I
to not
mean,
farm black people, right, as slaves is also a fucking emotional argument.
Can you just chill for a second? There's no need to bring up like child rape and like racial disparities.
No, no, wait, no. Like, can you wait? Kirby, you came into this room and you immediately took over and had a really long conversation, not about animals, right? Don't then tell me how to like do vegan activism, right? There's nothing wrong with bringing up kicking dogs, right? Don't tone police vegan
There's
activism.
nothing wrong.
I mean, he was talking about eating eggs though.
That's irrelevant. He literally said, "Don't tell me what to do." When I simply asked him the question if he would ask someone to stop kicking a dog,
Okay.
he
Can
immediately
I
said
ask
he
you a
would,
question?
Okay.
right?
Can
Which
I
is
ask
a
a
blatant
question?
like demonstration of hypocrisy.
Okay, I like fur. Okay, would you buy me a fur coat to be a present for me?
No,
what?
no, I wouldn't. I also wouldn't buy you child porn for your present if you liked that.
Okay, I want you to buy me a fur. Okay, as a friend request. Would you okay with that? Would you buy me fur?
I want you to buy me child porn. Would you be okay with that?
No, I'm not a
Why not?
pedophile.
Why not? It's my preference, so why wouldn't you
But
buy me it?
I bet it is.
Because you're saying because it's your preference, I should respect that preference. But if you don't respect my preferences, that's clearly hypocritical. So why won't you like? I want a dog for my birthday that I can kick to death. Will you buy me a chihuahua that I can kick to death for my birthday?
But your
Okay,
preference
would you
affects the
buy me
health
fur
of
coat?
others,
Yes or
Chihuahua
not
no?
would
animals.
fuck you up.
So I couldn't
Dude,
hear
I
you,
like
Vulcan.
furs. It looks like I look like a wealthy person in that. Okay, I looked at its fancy. I think it's fancy fur coats.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I
the
like.
general idea of, you know, personal enjoyment, right? Is that really a justification for any sort of behavior?
Yeah.
Right? Because like you say like fur coat. Do you know what happens to like the foxes that are, killed to make
Dude,
those
they are
fur
useless
coats?
anyway.
Can it be fake fur? Would you care if it was fake fur? Faux fur? Does it have to be from a dead animal? Hello?
You say if it's already dead.
They're not already dead.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's yeah, they're not already dead, and they die in the most horrific way you can imagine. They don't even kill them; they actually skin them alive, so they don't have to put any more holes in them. It's one of the most fucked up things.
They kill them and then they skin them. Where are you taking this from?
No,
No, that's not true.
They literally don't. They literally don't.
They
They
literally
skin animals alive.
They deglove foxes.
They skin them alive, and then they let them run into the woods to die. That's what they do.
Sure.
Well, I mean, it
They
depends.
also do this with minks. If you think about it as a business, listen. If you think about it as a business, it's a textile business. You don't want to poke holes in your textiles. Stabbing things and killing it and burning it with electricity, that's all going to ruin your fur. It's skinned off of them so that they don't puncture the skin anymore. It's like taken off of them in one piece.
You're lying.
It's fucked up, dude. That's why I asked you. That's why I asked you if it's okay if it's fake fur. Is it okay if it's fake fur? Can we do that for you?
I mean, the point of the matter is that it's animal, real.
Look at my stream. Look at my stream. Look at my stream. Go on my stream. Look at my stream. I'll show you what we do to foxes. I'll show you what we do to foxes.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun.
I mean,
It's not a good time.
I'll show you what we do to foxes.
What country is that?
Oh, this is Europe.
What'd you read?
What country?
This is Europe.
Europe is not our country, brother.
Well, it's irrelevant. They also do the same in North America.
It's not irrelevant.
It is relevant.
Their tail looks good.
It's not even supposed to be a continent, to be honest.
It's from Eastern Europe. Okay, that makes more sense.
Okay, but
do you think they do it differently in different places?
This is a fox who's alive without any skin on their body because they've had their skin ripped off while they're alive.
Yeah, because
that's just so they don't puncture another hole in the thing. That's how much they care about this. They just don't care about the animals. Imagine you care about animals, right? You care that animals get hurt and stuff like that, right? Like like the guy said, you would say something if you stopped and started kicking the fuck out of a dog for no reason. You'd be like, hey, don't do that shit, man. What's wrong with you? Right?
I think they should have anesthetized them.
Wait, we should anesthetize
It's
a
too
dog.
expensive. Like we talk about, like it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
Right, so
It's just weird that people come in here and they try to prove to us that they don't have no emotions, and that's why they're doing that. It's like, you do have emotions, man. You really do have feelings inside of you that are being repressed for profit. It's not a good look, man.
It's like, why is it so important to you that like there has to be animal abuse?
Something has to suffer for me to be happy, goddammit. Something has to fucking die for me to be happy.
That's a very common sentiment, but it's like when you have the alternative, when there's, faux fur, there's, especially now in the 21st century where we have so many options, it's like, why do you insist on going for, the one where foxes are kept in cages and, beaten to death, and or like they put an
But there are alternatives to that. There are alternatives. The point of having meat in my stomach is not that I have something to suffer while I eat.
What is the point? What is the point of you having animal product in your stomach right now? What do you think the point is?
To have nutrition and be nutritious and be healthy and strong.
Where do you think the animals? Where do you think the animals got their nutrition and their strength?
Because they have a vegetarian system. We are omnivores.
Well,
we're not fucking vegan.
herbivore is the word you're looking for.